Part 163. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1624. When Jia Yan saw the behavior of the cowherd, Jia Yan, who knew his little thoughts, smiled silently, and then his brainwave power became a little weaker again. A clone's strength is just that when it reaches its peak, but Jia Yan's brainwave power is more than that. In theory, if he can control it, then even if 3 or even 4 clones fight at the same time, his strength will be unlimited. Send the power down. So after he made his plans. Huh? Another superfast ship like that is coming. Could it be? Is there something inside? Impossible. When the battle reached a fever pitch and the 2 Jia Yan clones showed signs of defeat, another warship similar to the previous superfast ship appeared on the edge of the battlefield. And there was more than just one. After the battleship arrived, 3 more similar spaceships came from different directions. In other words, at this moment, 4 ships similar to the 2 constants flew in at one go. Star Powerhouse, a battleship similar to the spaceship it rides on. A thought of disbelief flashed through everyone's hearts. This is true even for the creatures in the Orion Arm and the biochemical star domain. But even if it is unbelievable, once this thought arises, it is still impossible to stop it and it will become the main theme. Even in the hearts of most people, the impossible thought is slowly getting smaller. And the fact is that the impossibility in their hearts has finally completely disappeared, and many people are even thinking, could it be that in this front battle, these strangers and strong men will become the protagonists? Because the creatures that flew down from these battleships were also half-star level creatures on the surface. Let alone star level, even if they are only truly semi-star level, they will have a certain impact on this war. Not to mention the way they appear and the very similar brainwave power feeling, they really will be ordinary semi-stars. Stellar level? That's right, the feelings they displayed were very similar to the 2 stellar powerhouses that appeared just now. Bang! There was a loud subspace sound in the starry sky. A half-star strong man died instantly under the attack of an approaching frog-like creature. Half-star level, and it's the pinnacle, what on earth is this? There is also one of our half-stars who died over there. It was also done by half-stars like them. Their strength is almost exactly the same. This and this. Every creature in the Imperial warship was completely afraid of the 4.5-star level clones of Jia Yan that had just appeared. After all, the appearance of one such creature was reasonable, but 2 appeared at once, and both of them reached the stellar level. This is already very disappointing, but what is even more desperate is that, just as we are about to defeat these 2 weird stellar level creatures, 4.5 stellar level creatures unexpectedly appear. Although no one knows, their strength also reach the half-star level, but their feeling is really too similar to the 2-star level ones that appeared previously. No one can guarantee that these new 4.5-star-like creatures will not be able to quickly transform into a star-level powerful person. What are these guys doing? I always feel like their movements are weird after they appear. That's right, even the giant elephant creature we are fighting here has become weird. It doesn't mean that his strength has become weaker, but that his movements seem to be less flexible. No matter what they do, they have exposed a flaw, and we must seize this opportunity. Several star-level powerhouses suddenly felt something bad after seeing the semi-star level creatures coming from all around. Although they couldn't tell what was wrong, they still felt that there was something they couldn't do. Believe it or not, something is happening. Yes, their premonition was very accurate. In fact, what they did not expect was very simple. That is, when Jia Yan heard that the war was about to start, he had already ordered the superfast ships near the star field to all the summons flew towards the starry sky. There are already 6 superfast battleships arriving now, and among these 6, there is one of his clones. You must know that every clone has a combat power equivalent to that of a star. Although no other clones can catch up in the future, with these 6 clones, Is there anything that cannot be solved? Interstellar mid-level creatures may not be able to solve it alone, or even the 6 mid-level star creatures working together may not be able to solve it, but Jia Yan has a huge advantage, and that is his current ability to control his clones. In this battle, progress is progressing by leaps and bounds. In the past, he controlled so many clones and had no experience in fighting. But now in the battle, he understands more and more how to control the clones to fight while also controlling the actions of other clones. This learning process is completely forced. As he speeds up, his 6 clones feel very strange during the battle. But this weird feeling is quickly being made up for. As long as this war is over, maybe Jia Yan can at least control the 2 clones, and there won't be any big problems. And Jia Yan had other gains at this moment. That was when he appeared just now, the 2 clones happened to be together. So these 2 clones naturally came together when fighting the surrounding battleships. Then the 2 clones suddenly used the joint moves they learned from their subordinates. You must know that his clone is basically controlled by one person. If such a joint move does not require 2 people to control it, but is a method where one person is basically focused on everything except sharing the points, the combat power that can be displayed is much higher than that of a normal joint move. The moves are much, much more powerful. Bang! In the starry sky, 2 figures who seemed to have different body shapes, but whose movements were almost perfectly matched, separated quickly at the touch of a button. The half-star creature among them had no resistance or backhand ability at all, and was cannibalized by these 2 figures in an instant. What? So fast that I didn't even see it clearly. Another half-star creature who originally fought against these 2 clones had disbelief in his eyes. Then, he noticed 2 figures joining forces, approaching him suddenly. You want me to be killed by you like that? Don't even think about it. This half-star creature had a ferocious look in its eyes, and before the 2 clones arrived, it exploded with all its power. In this way, his power will be in a state of being unable to move for a long time, but it is better than being killed by these 2 unfamiliar semi-star level creatures now. Unfortunately, even if he did this, the 2 approaching Jia Yan clones still moved stiffly across his side. Well, this half-star level defensive action was only halfway through, but his body had already split into 2 halves from the center. It can't be blocked. It's impossible to block it at the average half-star level. Why is this happening? Even though their movements are so stiff, they can still kill people so efficiently. The creatures on the side couldn't accept such a result at all. He was obviously a half-star powerhouse on the side of the Empire, and his speed and flexibility of movements were much stronger than those on the other side. However, he was killed, and the strange half-star powerhouses on the other side didn't even have the slightest trace of strength. His fur was not damaged, which was abnormal. And it's not just the battlefield here. Many creatures in the Imperial warships discovered that similar things happened in other battlefields. In particular, Jia Yan secretly discovered that after he used 2 clones to join forces, he could control 2 people as if he were controlling one person, and his mental state would be greatly reduced, and he seemed to have the same characteristics of 2.5-star levels joining forces. That is, it was said that joining forces not only reduced his mental consumption, but also greatly enhanced his attack power. This discovery made Jia Yan change the way he fought with the new 6 clones. They quickly gathered together and then cooperated in pairs. Jia Yan only focused part of his energy on the 4 new avatars, because his main focus still had to be on the avatars fighting the 2 powerful star-level men. Otherwise, those 2 clones would be killed. There were 4 more avatars in the battle that he had to take care of. Even though he quickly developed a way of joining forces in pairs, a fighting method that not only increased combat effectiveness but also reduced his energy level, he still had to give up to the 2 constants again in an instant. The starfighting clone was more inflexible, so he was quickly injured by his opponent. Bang bang! 2 star-level creatures suddenly attacked the sides of Jia Yan's 2 clones. and under such an attack force, even if Jia Yan used his yin and yang dao, at the moment of being hit, he let the two clones use counter force to absorb the attack force of the opponent, but still being attacked by these two attacks, the two clones were spitting blood and retreating. Hey, just right. During this setback, Jia Yan made a new discovery. That is the direction in which the two clones are flying upside down, and they are coming from opposite directions. In other words, their two clones are getting closer and closer. We're just close, so I'll let these two clones get close together. And the four clones outside the battlefield are also close, so, the melee begins. Jia Yan smiled, and then, his brainwave power tried his best to control each clone. Even if one or two made mistakes, there would not be too much hindrance. Want to escape? Is it useful to be close together? No way. The two star-level creatures, seeing that their attacks were effective, naturally would not give up on the victory they were about to obtain, so one after another, they quickly pursued the two fleeing clones. When they finally caught up with the two clones were completely close to each other. There was no need for too many words at all, because it was only controlled by one person, so Jia Yan quickly operated the two clones. Die. The two avatars joining forces are like a seamless arm. They first faced a stellar opponent together. The opponent's flying speed was slightly faster than that of the other star-level expert, so he arrived in front of the two clones first. So the two clones he faced joined forces and got closer. You want to join forces? But it's no use. In the battle just now, you must have wasted a lot of strength. I only need to survive one or two attacks, and if the friend behind me comes, you will still die. This stellar being has nothing to worry about when the creatures in front of him join forces. As he said, he thinks that the two stellar opponents in front of him should be due to lack of energy, so he just fought with them. When they were fighting, there was so much stiffness. Although he had to deal with two people now, their strength must have been exhausted after a long battle, and they were also injured. How could he possibly can't even block a blow or two? As long as they are delayed, another star-level strongman will arrive next. The two of them will definitely be able to catch two enemies who are already weaker than them and even injured. So he didn't hesitate and rushed forward directly. This guy actually wants to steal the credit, haha. Let him take it. Another star-level expert saw that his colleague actually got in front of the two enemies and knew that he wanted to compete for the credit, but he had no choice. Who made his flying speed slower? But just when this star-level creature thought that the two injured opponents wouldn't be able to achieve much even if they joined forces. Bang! In the starry sky, a shocking explosion of positive and negative forces shook the subspace so much that even the normal vacuum produced an extremely shocking explosion. Then, the stellar powerhouse that just flew into the eyes of the two Jia Yan clones flew out like a rag faster than the previous pursuit. While flying upside down, a large amount of blood and flesh spurted out from his body, and his whole body was seriously injured in an instant. How? Why is it the adults on our side who are flying upside down? What happened just now? Could it be that those two enemies have some hidden strength? No, the joint method they used is exactly the same as the several half-stars over there. The moves of these guys are so similar. In the surrounding spaceships, the crew members of the Imperial fleet and the enemy's strong men all looked at the scene of their own star flying upside down in stunned disbelief. In their eyes, their master, who had the upper hand just now, was actually knocked away by a blow at this moment, and was seriously injured and dying. The two of them joined forces and became so powerful? Why do I feel like their moves are one? The other star-level creature that flew over quickly wanted to stop, because as a star-level creature, he could completely see the enemy's attack at this moment. Just because he can see clearly doesn't mean he can dodge, nor does it mean he has the confidence to deal with such an attack. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1625. On the contrary, precisely because he saw it clearly, he had the illusion of being extremely frightened by the alliance between these two stellar enemies. Because this joint move is so terrifying, the two stellar powerhouses are as integrated as one person, and their strength is not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Because of the tacit understanding of the cooperation, the two fisting with four hands is equivalent to amplifying the strength several times. How can there be such a seamless cooperation in the world? What was even more astonishing was that the two major creatures who joined forces actually headed towards the remaining star class who had previously dealt with them, and went together again. Snort. The star-level creature they were dealing with suddenly used his brainwave power. However, his attitude seemed extremely cold, but what he did was fly backwards. He escaped. Want to escape? At this moment, one of the two creatures who joined forces suddenly said this coldly. In fact, what he said was Jia Yan himself speaking. At this time, Jia Yan put most of his energy on these two fighting clones. He came in person and wanted to kill a mere elementary star. There is nothing that a strong man cannot kill? Boom! The two stellar clones suddenly moved. The power they both burst out was like riding on a rocket in an instant, suddenly rising into the sky and arriving in front of the escaping star-level creature. You must know that the strength that each clone can carry is limited, but the power from Jia Yan's body is almost extremely large. It is difficult to say that it is unlimited, and there is nothing unreasonable. Therefore, the power that the two bodies can use instantly is the upper limit of the power that their bodies can carry. So the two bodies explode together, which is equivalent to twice the power, and twice the power flies up together, plus the speed at which Jia Yan mastered the combined method of the divine system was beyond the imagination of other creatures. So fast. The eyes of the star-level creature that was being hunted suddenly changed after seeing the two powerful men coming. He originally thought that even if his strength could not defeat the two star-level creatures joining forces, there would be no problem in escaping, because when these two creatures fought with them, everyone discovered that their strength was not the same. It's not very strong, at least in terms of brainwave power, it's far behind them. And the power of brainwaves is the foundation of a biological body's power. Although these two creatures have the strength to compete with them for a short time because of their weird moves, he also knows that if there is no trick compared to speed, etc., he must really win. That's why he was so confident when he ran away just now. But now these two star-level enemies actually broke out so fast after joining forces, which made him unbelievable. Escape. Seeing the two enemies approaching, the creature quickly changed its angle. But this time, he wouldn't be able to escape so easily. In this moment of explosion, Jia Yan could be said to have given up most of the control of the other clones, so his speed and flexibility reached the peak of his ability to control the two clones. So even if he changed direction, the two star-level clones also changed direction in an instant. Damn it, I won't give in. When the star-level creature saw the two approaching enemies, a hint of murderous intent burst out from its eyes, and the next moment his body erupted with shocking power. It turns out that he also used all his strength, depleting his strength for at least a few years in the future, in exchange for a rapid increase in current strength. What he was unwilling to do was use this power here. He would definitely not be able to participate in the future war. After all, in the days when the war was about to start, the military achievements were the most. Unfortunately, if he doesn't use this power now, he also knows that he will be in danger. Can it be useful if used? Just when he used this astonishing power, even close to that of a mid-level stellar powerhouse, two clones of Jia Yan also arrived at his side. But it wasn't just them, another clone that no one noticed came quietly on the other side. This new enemy, who was recognized by all creatures as a half-star, was besieged just now, but when a star-level person died in the battle here, no one paid attention to the battle on their side. Even those who are paying attention will not think that this half-star strong man who has come from a place with few enemies to this star-level battlefield has any role. But a second later, the battleship captains who watched him come to this area definitely regretted it. If they were blocked, maybe one of their stellar masters wouldn't have to die. That's right, this half-star clone who came quietly actually took action when he was approaching the battlefield. Boom. The two star-level clones joined forces, plus a new clone who had been on the side for a long time and had already accumulated strength, and then came with the same energy intensity, and even the brainwave power was almost exactly the same. The three of them take action at the same time. There is actually a star-level existence, this. The star-level strong man who burst out with strength and thought that he was definitely going to win, or at least be able to escape, at this moment, he just felt like scolding his mother. He was fighting two stellar-level opponents, and he was almost surrounded by his own battleships and masters. He actually let a stellar-level expert come in. Wasn't this going to kill him? His scolding voice soon stopped coming out. Because of the actions of the three star-level clones, at this moment, they have almost reached the strength of the mid-level star. The creature in front of me, who has exploded with secret skills and is close to the power of the mid-level star, has no power at all. May resist. Puff. This star-level warrior from the Empire followed in the footsteps of his previous comrade and perished in an instant. This newly arrived half-star, actually burst out with the same strength. Could it be that a few of them here also have star-level strength? At this moment, no one felt any pity for the dead star. Even several star experts in the Empire immediately focused their attention on the edge of the battlefield. Looking at the several half-star visitors who were fighting one battleship after another, or the half-star level beings of the Empire. Their performance is very similar to the three major star-level newcomers on the field. If they are also star-level existences, then in this battlefield that was originally thought to be a mid-level star of Calherd, the other party actually gained 6 star levels in an instant. You know, these are 6 star level powerhouses, and they seem to know some kind of joint fighting method. Such fighting strength is not weaker than that of 2 mid-level stars. Although for a moment it is clear that these 6 star level beings all have certain problems. They seem to be sluggish and always lose a sense of rhythm in the battle. But in actual fighting with them, it is difficult to say that we can win. At least it seems overwhelming advantage after several battles. Not even one of the 6 newcomers was injured. That's right, Jia Yan controlled 6 clones to fight, and none of them has been injured so far. In other words, even if Jia Yan does not have much strength to use, even if his energy cannot control so many clones to fight with all their strength, in fact, Jia Yan is still a creature that exceeds the average lower level star, and is almost infinitely close to a star level exists. For a being of this strength, controlling a group of clones, even if it is weak, it will never be too weak. Moreover, Jia Yan also masters the secret technique of joining forces, so it is natural that his clones can fight. You are indeed worthy of being an adult. A few clones are almost as strong as mine. Perhaps apart from Jia Yan himself, the person present who knew the situation best was Tianyi Alang. He certainly knows what kind of power the 6 clones used when they exploded in strength, and he also knows what level of strength and understanding the Yin and Yang Dao has reached. He also knew that in fact, all the enemies of the Empire believed that the strength of the 6 clones reached the star level, but the strength of all Jia Yan's clones did not reach the star level, and they were all half-star level, because Taya Kingdom, even in this galaxy, it is estimated that no technological empire has the strength to make star-level clones. Of course, this does not mean that the powerful ones control the clones and their combat effectiveness cannot reach star level, other galaxy level, or domain lord level powerhouses. The powerful clones they have are even more powerful than Jia Yan. The impossibility of reaching star level here means that it is impossible to have such technological strength at the technological level, and super strong people with clones, such as domain lords, etc., their fighting skills are like Jia Yan, who can make their own. The clones can easily break through several levels of strength. Of course, their clones are still at their own strength level and cannot reach the star level. But Jia Yan is not in the galaxy, let alone the domain master. He can actually control the clone and reach the star level. You must know that Jia Yan himself is just a star level, and he can control the clone to reach the star level. This saying it would scare people to death. With your energy and understanding of Yin Yang Dao, the 6 major clones, I estimate that they can all deal with me together. And your clones, there are more than 100. Thinking of this, Tian Cowherd had to swallow his saliva. Fighting against Jia Yan himself, members of Jia Yan's team, would never dare to think about it in this life, but they had a limit before, that is, they could not be surpassed by Master Jia Yan's clone. After all, clones require energy to operate, and coupled with energy limitations, they believe that if their strength improves a little faster, they will not be surpassed by Jia Yan's clone. What I didn't expect was that Jia Yan's clones really couldn't surpass them individually, but now Jia Yan actually used the clones to use the joint secret technique. The strength of the 6 major clones is estimated to be able to deal with the cowherd, so how could he not smile? That's all, you are a genius. How can we be better than you? At least now, you still need us, and after we have mastered the strength of Yin and Yang Dao, our progress has not slowed down. There will always be someone who can help you in the future. The place. After Tianyi Alang thought this through, he fought even harder. The several mid-level star powerhouses who controlled him, as well as the primary star beings, were all crying. Among the stellar-level powerhouses who had just joined forces to resist the cowherd, 2 were killed by the stellar-level beings who appeared out of nowhere, and creatures came inexplicably. Which one was there at the beginning? It gave people the impression that it was half-star level, but now that I saw it, it felt like a humming star level. How could they fight? They are coming, please be careful. Several star-level beings were extremely nervous when they saw the 3 newcomers who had killed an Empire star-level powerhouse suddenly flying towards the area where they were at the center of the battle. Die! A star-level being flew towards the 3 clones. He had no choice but to go up. After all, if there wasn't one person from the star class that was dealing with the cowherd here to deal with the 3 major star beings coming, the siege team would definitely be attacked from both sides, and then all of them would be destroyed directly, so he had to go up. But he also knows that the 3 major newcomers can kill 2 stellar colleagues. He is definitely in danger. After all, his strength is not better than the 2 brothers who were killed just now. How much stronger? However, it won't work without a fight. Without a fight, there is no point in escaping. Tianyi Alang alone can hold back so many of them astral-level powerhouses, and even 2 of them are mid-level star-level creatures. If they began to escape, with such a powerful person being freed, they felt even more chilled. So he placed his hope that if he could delay it for a while longer, the several star-level comrades behind him would be able to deal with the cowherd who had been fighting for so long and must have lost his strength. Then it would be much easier next time. 6 suspected constant star-level creatures, and they are only the beginning of the primary level. With so many star-level creatures and 2 powerful mid-level stars, there is no way they can beat them. So his idea is very simple, that is, drag. Stop it. The creature suddenly struck out at the 3 clones flying together. The flying speeds and angles of the 3 clones are almost the same. People watching the scene feel their scalp numb. You must know that this situation is extremely weird. However, against such a strange opponent, this star still had to fight hard. Court death. Suddenly, the 3 clones spoke coldly at the same time. The situation is so horrifying that it makes one's hair stand on end. And not only that, the 3 clones used their strength together. Join forces to attack again. Ah, you 3 guys who are pretending to be gods, die to me. The approaching star-level creature felt panicked in its heart. It could only embolden itself with a roar, and then use the strongest power it could. He doesn't have the full power of his stellar comrade's move, so overall, he is weaker. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1626. However, he believed that it was impossible for these three coming creatures to fight him head-on. After all, if the three of them were not careful, one of them would definitely be hit by his attack. And if the strength of the two sides was about the same, then he would be able to inflict heavy damage. 1. He was just gambling, exchanging injuries for injuries to see if he could delay it for a while. But something unexpected happened to this stellar creature. The three major creatures who joined forces charged without hesitation, regardless of their own injuries. To others, this is their own life, but to Jia Yan, who controls the clone, this is just a clone of himself. If one person dies and there are more than 100 others, how can there be anything worth cherishing? The two sides passed each other quickly, and the star-level creature lost its decisiveness just now and fell directly into a dilemma. But he cherished his life after all, so when the two sides were attacking each other, he suddenly withdrew his attack, and at the same time begged the other party to take back his attack, because he had already expressed his stance. If he didn't want a lose-lose outcome, this guy the enemy should also give us some face and establish a tacit understanding. But he sadly discovered that the enemy in front of him had no intention of retracting his attack, and even attacked faster. Die. He had no choice but to immediately use the attack he had just withdrawn again. The power he had just withdrawn was not much. Now that both sides have to lose, his actual combat effectiveness has not been lost much due to the explosion of his power. Although he does not want to see a lose-lose result, but now that the enemy wants to do this, he has no choice. Peng. The confrontation between the two creatures was like the appearance of an extremely bright light in the universe, and a shocking force that caused an extremely huge shock in the universe. Both of them exploded with stellar strength at this moment. Why is it so weird? Their power is suddenly strong and weak. What is it and what strength is it? The other party looked at Jia Yan's clone and almost went crazy. At the same time, on the other side, while he was fighting a clone, the other two clones seemed to have expected such an outcome. They arrived at the side of this stellar enemy in an instant, and then used attacks together. Beer. The oscillations of subspace and gravitational wave systems exploded in the vacuum. I'm not willing to give in. At the last moment of death, that star-level creature was completely in disbelief at the death result he had caused. After all, for a star-level powerhouse, he doesn't know how many years he has lived, and he doesn't know how many battles he has gone through. To die easily is completely impossible for creatures like them with long biochemistry. Accept the result. It's a pity that war is like this. They don't want to die, but they can only accept it. Dead again. Looking at the corpse of another star-level creature in the vacuum, it slowly turned into powder due to the subsequent attack of brainwave power. Not even the complete corpse could be left behind. This scene made the surrounding fleet creatures, he and several star-level experts who were still alive were completely shocked, and even felt a trace of despair in their hearts. For them, the war just now was completely dominated by their own side, but now, this dominance has actually been taken over by a group of star-level, or Orion arms that should be star-level in strength. Fang Qiang was completely dominant. No, the high-end combat power on our side is completely unbalanced. The three newcomers have not yet shown stellar strength, but there is reason to suspect that they are also stellar powerhouses, so we suggest that we leave here quickly. The so-called leaving actually means escaping, but because the Imperial Army's warships and powerful men are still numerous enough, If they escape now, they think they can at least retreat calmly or beautifully. Execute the order, we are defeated this time. An imperial creature of mid-stellar level let out a long and helpless sigh while fighting the cowherd. With his approval, the surrounding star-level powerhouses and the battleship groups finally felt confident and quickly took preludes to escape. The Empire wants to escape. Adults, they want to escape, what should we do now? If we let them go, even though they paid a huge price, they would escape from the fleet almost completely. Although our high-end combat power won a small victory, the low-end battleship group lost a lot. If we don't make a decision, if we deal with or punish them, they will definitely attack again in the future. It is said that there are many powerful people in the Empire. There are dozens or even hundreds of star-level existences. Although the losses are high now, they do not have much impact on the overall strength of the Empire. Battleships are their foundation. If the battleship group had no losses, but the battleship group here had lost so much, the subsequent war would not be so easy to fight. The cowherd of heaven, chase. Jia Yan didn't think too much about it, but at this moment, he calmly said this to the cowherd. For him, being beaten at home by others, if he didn't fight back, it wouldn't be that easy for him in his own heart. Of course, the more important point is that he believes that if the intruders are not severely damaged this time, the Empire will definitely be more bold in the future. If the small victory cannot wake up this behemoth, then give them more losses, so that the Empire will be more vigilant in future wars. Although the final war will be more dangerous, Jia Yan and the others can also gain more time. Time is Jia Yan's primary goal. Even if he is given time, even if he gives up half of the biochemical star field, Jia Yan will not have any regrets. But now is not that kind of time. If he really gives up the birth star field, then the enemy will definitely push forward and finally attack the Orion arm, which is not something he is willing to give up easily. Chase. Tianyi Alang received Jia Yan's message and was finally completely sure that the coming group of creatures were Jia Yan's clones. He also felt that he didn't need to think so much. Since the adults had already said that he wanted to chase him, he just executed. The battleship group and a few strong men here quickly pursued them. However, before these main forces could move, several rapidly flashing shadows had already rushed to the front of everyone. It was Jia Yan's 6 clones who came one after another. These 6 clones, the 3-3 cooperation is the most optimized. If there are more than 3, I don't have that sense of unity, and it may even make my command wrong. So now let's join forces with 3. 6. There are exactly 2 teams, which consumes the least amount of energy on my part. It can even bring out the power of 4 or even 5 clones, which also greatly increases the strength of the clones. Jia Yan was in a distant place, feeling the power of the clones' joint efforts, and smiled silently. In this battle, he really developed a very good way to join forces with clones. Previously, Jia Yan had never thought that clones could join forces. The battle led to an accident, which made this battle, Jia Yan thought the prediction that 1 or 2 clones would definitely die did not come true. This is also a big surprise. Dare you chase me? An Empire's mid-level star creature was acting as rear guard for the escaping fleet. When he saw the newcomers from the 6 primary stars and wanted to chase them, he suddenly looked ugly. Another mid-level stellar creature was dragging the cowherd in a state of embarrassment at the risk of his life. And now he needs to stand up. A mid-level stellar creature suddenly charged towards the newcomers from the 6-star level Orion arms. Intermediate stellar level. All 6 clones were shocked. You must know that the strength of the mid-level star is completely different from the strength of the primary star. A mid-level stellar creature, even the weakest in terms of strength, can easily deal with a group of primary stellar creatures. This is just like Jia Yan back then, who could deal with several powerful primary stellar beings, but was defeated. Wu De, who is from the Seeing Academy, is obsessed with pursuing him. The coming mid-level star man probably thought the same thing, so at this moment, he showed a hint of ruthlessness, thinking that even if their side was delayed for a while, causing the Calherd to approach, as long as he could kill him, a few of the primary creatures from this star caused greater losses to the Orion arm than they did, so this war was not considered a major failure. Guys, I don't know where you come from, but since you have joined this war and killed some of my primary subordinates from the stars, then you can just die. How terrifying are the attacks of stellar mid-level creatures? For example, it is a creature at the elementary level of a star, which can shatter Mount Everest on Earth with one blow. Then a mid-level star warrior can send a sea of the Earth flying into the universe with one blow. The gap in strength can be described as a world of difference. So after this blow came, the 6 clones instantly felt that their bodies could not move. This is a completely crushing level of brainwave power. Don't forget that although they are considered to be star level by the surrounding creatures, in fact each of them has a life level of only half a star level. This is the level of avatars that Theia Kingdom could only reluctantly create by using most of its national strength and even mobilizing most of the resources of the entire northern star region. Star mid-level, the current clone will be killed almost instantly when faced with one by one. Jia Yan was silently analyzing in the distant La Longxi battleship group. How can 3 clones work together as a team? To me, it's like controlling one person, which doesn't consume much energy. So if the 6 clones join forces, it's like 2 3-person teams joining forces. Try it. Now that the situation has reached a point where his clone is facing off against an intermediate stellar creature, Jia Yan has nothing to be afraid of. To his own body, the intermediate stellar creature is also an ant-like creature and can be easily killed with one strike. And even if they lose, they will only lose 6 clones. He is already using more battleships to transfer a steady stream of clones to this battlefield. At least 20 clones will arrive on this battlefield later. The appearance of 20 powerful people who are almost equivalent to stellar level is an earth-shattering level of terror for any battlefield. So Jia Yan is not afraid of losing his clone. At this moment, the clones of Sanzan and Sanzan were close to each other again. Under the control of each other's brainwave power, they had a very difficult time moving, but they were finally able to move. It's actually a little weaker than I thought. What is your strength? The midstellar strongman only used about 80% of his brainwave power to suppress it on the way, but he was still attacking from a long distance away. The 6 suspected stellar-level Orion arm strongmen actually can't hold on anymore. In that case, I will directly use all my strength to control you to death, and then kill them one by one. With the death of 6 star-level creatures, we will not lose this battle. At this moment, the mid-level Imperial creatures suddenly found a way to reverse the defeat. That is to do it yourself and kill these 6 star-level enemies. In this way, the army may be able to change its escape path and turn around to launch a counter-attack against the Orion Arm Biochemical Star Territory Alliance. By then there will be other progress in the war, which will be a huge credit to him. Buzz. Brainwave power is activated again. Give me the whole town. When this mid-level stellar creature suddenly used his brainwave power to suppress a group of stellar clones, his eyes suddenly froze. Because in his eyes, the 6-star level experts who were on the verge of crumbling under the power of his brainwaves actually came close to each other again, and then a shocking power burst out from their bodies. Although Sanzan's power could not reach the mid-level star level, after joining forces, they were able to withstand his full brainwave power. What kind of skills do you have in joining forces to be able to join forces to such an extent? Damn it! That star-level creature was so angry that he was going crazy. For him, his strength has almost reached the point where he can look down on the first-level stars, but the 6 first-level star powerhouses in front of him, and even the middle-level star powerhouses who are relatively weak among the first-level stars, are actually taught him a lesson. It's rude to come back without reciprocating. Let's take a look at my joint strength. The 6 clones over there seemed to be 3 connected into a whole at this time, and their movements had a neat feeling, as if they were controlled by one person. That's right, it's actually controlled by one person. Moreover, the three powerful men have become one, so the six clones are two powerful men. At this time, they have turned into two peaks of the primary star level, and even faintly approached the mid-level star creatures, one from the left and the other from the right. This mid-level star. What? You think that your joint strength is strong, and you actually want to attack a stellar mid-level? Attack me, a stellar mid-level who is much stronger than you? It is simply unreasonable. Do you really think that together, you are invincible? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1627. The stellar mid-level expert from the Empire was so angry that he was so angry after seeing this flanking attack. He was naturally angry when he was looked down upon and besieged by several stellar-level creatures. So this creature stopped making any pretense of trying to mediate the war, and directly went out with all its strength to kill them. Boom! In the sky, a series of tearing sounds were heard. It was unknown whether it was the subspace or the gravitational wave system that was being torn apart. Maybe it was both. In short, the extremely powerful middle-level star warriors released their brainwave power to the limit, as if they were using brainwave power to suppress their opponents, extremely unscrupulous. Humph, this guy actually took advantage of the shortcoming of my clone's insufficient brainwave power. But fighting is fighting, and it doesn't matter what method you use, as long as you can win. Regarding this, I really admire him. Jia Yan was in a distant place, silently watching the war here, trying hard to control his six clones. The brutality of the battle did not require him to get angry. After all, he had survived many unfavorable battles until now. The six clones suddenly flew backwards at the same time that the stellar mid-level creature used its brainwave power. Their bodies seemed to suddenly have a force that was opposite to the normal brainwave force, and became slippery. It might be difficult to escape the brainwave force of one person, but the three of them worked together and actually attacked them head-on. The power of their mid-level star warriors was largely eliminated. If this can be eliminated, then I will do it myself. The mid-level star creature originally wanted to fight a slightly more beautiful battle, using the power of brainwaves to control six opponents in one breath, and then kill them easily one by one, but now it seems that this possibility no more. Then he would get close to these six clones. A figure as fast as light swayed, and it turned out that this mid-level stellar creature was actually a speed-type powerhouse. His speed reached a level that even the six clones could hardly react to. Of course, this doesn't mean that Jia Yan can't see him. In fact, with Jia Yan's strength, let alone seeing, through the image transmission of the clones, he can see the expression and movements of the creature when it comes. Just because he can't see it does not mean that he can control the clone's reaction at such a slow speed. Come over. Fortunately, Jia Yan had already prepared for the coming creature. After all, he had fought against so many stellar-level powerful beings. How others would react and how they would attack was almost impossible to Jia Yan. It's something that has long been forgotten in my mind. Coming. The three clones were controlled together, and before this creature came, they suddenly released the brainwave power of the three creatures they controlled. In fact, among Jia Yan's major methods, there is one most powerful and terrifying attack or defense move. Moreover, this move was also learned by the guy who was undoubtedly the strongest among Jia Yan's subordinates in terms of attack power. His moves also gave Jia Yan some inspiration, so Jia Yan used this move. Created the current trick. The positive and negative forces explode. Give it to me, explode. Jia Yan suddenly roared. Then, the three clones instantly burst out with extremely amazing positive and negative forces, and the three extremely integrated forces were used together. You must know that such power cannot be used by the three powerful men at the same time. After all, positive and negative forces, the power is too terrifying, and if you don't get along, you'll blow yourself up. But Jia Yan doesn't have such trouble. After all, the three clones are all controlled by himself, and there is no problem that they can't be integrated. The only thing to note is that when controlling, you have to be careful not to slow down the rhythm, otherwise it will really be a big clone. Woe to you! What power! The approaching star mid-level creature suddenly felt a huge power coming. Although the total amount of power was not exaggerated, the unparalleled terrifying power made his hair stand on end. This kind of power does not mean that it is powerful, but he feels that this power, which is not huge, contains some kind of extremely strong explosive energy. Get out of here first. The mid-level stellar creature was a creature that resembled a python. When he felt the combined explosive power of these three stellar-level enemies, he quickly tried to avoid the sharp attack. That's right, his attack was actually being carried out. He estimated that if his power were to collide with the opponent's explosive power, he would still have an advantage, but he didn't want to win so ugly. As a majestic mid-level star creature, if he joins forces with the three primary star-level creatures, he will be embarrassed, so why is he messing around? But if this move was wrong, this mid-level star creature would definitely regret it afterwards. Of course, there is no regret medicine in the world, and by that time, it is not certain whether this creature will still have a regretful brain. I knew you were going to run away. On the other side, the other three clones under Jia Yan's control seemed to have expected that this mid-level stellar creature would choose to avoid it. They suddenly appeared on the path of this mid-level stellar creature. How come? This stellar mid-level creature felt that in its escape route, there were three more stellar mid-level creatures, using that explosive power, waiting for it. He suddenly felt frightened. What kind of calculating ability is this? Could it be that every move he makes is calculated by these six creatures? It shouldn't be. Even if this is an extremely powerful mid-level stellar creature, it shouldn't have such powerful combat experience. It shouldn't matter if he shouldn't. I have to find a way to break through their siege first. Both sides have this kind of explosive brainwave power. It's terrifying. It's really terrifying. I don't want to fight with them, but since you are behind and behind, if you surround me, then I will have to choose one of you to fight with you. The mid-stellar python creature seemed to recognize the strength of the six clones at this moment, and launched a counter-attack against the six clones at this moment. His strength is really too strong, much stronger than the several star-level imperial creatures that were killed by Jia Yan before. So when he personally came to a joint team of three star clones, a strong aura hit his face, making the clones whose actual strength was only about half a star feel a trace of life-level suppression. But this kind of suppression only scares ordinary star-level or semi-star-level people. To Jia Yan's real body, it is like a joke. Here comes the tough one. Oh, I figured it out again, so let me see what the positive and negative force explosion of these three clones looks like. Burst. Jia Yan shouted again coldly. Then the python's attack, also with a coldness, came on the three clones. Snapped. In the vacuum, the sound of the explosion was earth-shattering. The momentum of this attack and the confrontation was not weaker than the sound of the battle between Tianyi Alang and another Hangruo mid-level expert on the other side. In an instant, all the fleets, or other strong men who were waiting for the outcome of the battle, shifted their sights from the place where Calhert and another middle-level strong man from another star clashed that day, to the 6 stars in this starry sky. An elementary creature is on the battlefield against a stellar mid-level creature. Originally, no one was optimistic about the battlefield where a primary star would face a strong mid-level star. Whether the first-level experts of the 6 stars are strong or not depends on who they are dealing with. An intermediate stellar creature is an existence that is simply impossible to resist to an elementary stellar creature. Even if the number reaches 6, they will definitely not be able to compete with the mid-level star creatures. What's more, these 6 primary level star creatures are still creatures that can be seen at a glance as not being the pinnacle of the primary level stars. But what shocked everyone was that the battlefield where they thought the winner would be decided quickly, and that it was definitely the mid-level star creature that was victorious, unexpectedly came out with a force that was not inferior to the two mid-level star creatures. The sound of a warring battlefield? This is impossible. It's actually a tie. A group of ordinary and extraordinary creatures all felt incredible about what was happening on this battlefield at this moment. Because in their eyes, the six primary star creatures who should have died directly, actually after joining forces, the combat power of a three-person team burst out with a force that offset the blow of the Empire Star mid-level creature. Even the mid-level stellar creature took a step back slightly. However, the three primary level creatures from the stars on the other side retreated by dozens of kilometers. These three primary level creatures from stars can fight like this with me, an intermediate level star. What kind of cross-level strength is this? It's simply. The stellar mid-level powerhouse felt extremely sharp pain from his python tail at this moment. He had used his python tail to attack just now, and now he was trembling with the huge force of the counter-shock. However, what was even more trembling was his heart. In the past, it was absolutely impossible for him to believe that a creature of the elementary level of a star, and a weak one at the elementary level, could actually deal with a powerful middle-level star of the six major stars. No, behind my back. This mid-level stellar creature had just turned away from a look of disbelief, but suddenly thought that what he faced was not just a team of joint forces. One has such strength, and the other feels very similar to this one. Isn't it possible? He turned around quickly. But it was already too late. The other team of Jia Yan's clones seemed to have already calculated the duel between the two sides, which would make this stellar mid-level creature take a step back. And this three-person team has launched an attack, and the destination of the attack is exactly where the stellar mid-level creature retreated. Ah, how could it be? The python creature with mid-level stellar strength quickly counterattacked back. Unfortunately, his counterattack was instantly completely swallowed up by another shocking force behind him. At this moment, Jia Yan also knew that when these clones of his were performing meritorious deeds, he did not care about the endurance of the primary creatures of the six stars. In an instant, he let the three primary clones of the stars explode all of his strength. One of them even blew himself up with a pair of feet because he wanted to activate the positive and negative Onmyeto power that exceeded his own physical strength. This shows how terrifying the power of this blow is. But just like that, he was still reacted by the stellar mid-level creature. The python suddenly took a small step back, and then used the hardest part of its head to push hard against the brainwave power released by Jia Yan's three clones. Boom 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 boom. The heaven and earth seemed to be pouring in, with endless power, making people think that it was the roar of the end. Then, because the python creature's defensive power was used in a hurry, its power was not as powerful as the three clones who had been preparing for a long time to explode with all their strength, and was involuntarily thrown back. But behind his throwing away, there was still a shadow that made him despair. Those are the three other clones who have also prepared their power. No, sir, several adults, we can make peace. At this moment, this mid-level strong man in the star felt his scalp numb. Although he didn't know why he hit such a life and death crisis, his strong desire to survive made him hurriedly fight, begging loudly for mercy. But will Jia Yan spare his life because of his begging for mercy? If so, there will definitely be a lot less of the powerful souls who died in Jia Yan's hands. The answer is of course no. Die. Jia Yan himself didn't have any big fluctuations. He was just an intermediate star. He sent out several clones to win. It was a bit thrilling and difficult, but that was it. No matter how much fluctuations he had, he didn't have any. Therefore, this blow was still very stable, and it hit the heart of the flying python in the back. Bang! Bang! Bang bang bang! There was another explosion in the world. The three stellar mid-level creatures here once again used huge brainwave power, which was completely beyond the upper limit of each of them. Moreover, because they used the power of positive and negative yin and yang, the terrifying energy of this explosion blew them away. I felt that I had suffered a serious injury. One of the clones, the elephant-like creature with a long trunk, lost its nose, revealing a horrific wound. The other one had half his body broken, while the other one was in a better condition and did not suffer much damage. But there is no death. For a star-level being, this kind of injury will not be a big problem. The only problem is the power they have lost, at least for an ordinary star-level creature. Lost all strength, it will take at least 1 or 2 years, or even longer, to recover. How could it be possible, a mid-level star? Can 6 strong primary level stars, or even just 6 weak ones among the first level stars, be able to kill an intermediate level star? Is it because I overestimated the intermediate level star before, or is this universe changing too fast? I don't believe that if an intermediate level star can die so easily, then the intermediate level star will not have such a high status. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1628. Both inside and outside the battlefield, whether they were from the Empire, Orion Arm, or biochemical star territory, they were all at this moment, because the 6 clones of Jia Yan actually killed a stellar mid-level existence, and they were almost speechless. 6 primary level stellar creatures kill 1 mid-level star. Doesn't this mean that there is one more powerful mid-level star in the Orion Arm? More than that, they can kill a stellar mid-level, so their strength is at least a little stronger than ordinary stellar mid-levels, but the price they paid was also high, and several strong men were seriously injured. But regardless of whether he is seriously injured or not, it is true that we are missing an intermediate stellar being here. The situation is now unfavorable to us, so run away. Let's go, let's run away. In the battlefield, entire Empire warships began to flee. The battleship groups on the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory cannot catch up even if they want to. First of all, the enemy is more advanced, and secondly, the coalition forces of the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory have been severely damaged and cannot form an effective large force. A large-scale cluster pursuit force cannot effectively pursue and kill the enemy fleet, and may even be destroyed by the enemy in turn. But there are so many strong people here, so we don't worry about the enemy's ability to counterattack. Both sides had no intention of continuing to fight. Soon, the enemy fled without a shadow. The Orion Arm and the biochemical Starfield Fleet Group, which had already rushed to the challenge, also began to reorganize the fleet in an extremely exhausted manner. However, during the reorganization, all the fleet members looked at the group of strong men with great solemnity. In this battle, their battleships played a very small role. In fact, most of the contributors were powerful men of the star level or above. Even the most powerful protagonists are not the Lord Tianyi Alang, who is the absolute strongest, but the newly arrived 6-star level powerhouses whose names and status are completely unknown to ordinary fleet members. But what they didn't know was that even the higher UPS in the fleet were confused at the moment. The higher UPS didn't know anything about this new group of star-level existences, and they had never heard anything about it before. If they had known that they had such a backup force, how could they have been so courageous, and even some warships were so frightened that they led the team to escape during the confrontation? Of course, those escaping warships will definitely be punished militarily in the future. This is not something that the strong have to worry about. The fleet on one side gathered up to rest, while on the other side, Jia Yan's group of clones silently consolidated their formation. If anyone pays attention, they will find that when the formation is dispersed, the clones, who were just as one, move very messily, as if it is difficult to direct their bodies. But even if someone noticed it, they would definitely think it was some of those injuries. The heavenly cowherd came to Jia Yan's clones very respectfully. Master Jia Yan, thanks to your intervention, we were able to survive this dangerous defensive situation. Oh, you know it's me. One of the clones looked at the cowherd indifferently. Although the subordinates in front of him were strong men who were difficult to resist in front of the clones, to Jia Yan's real body, they were just existences that could be killed easily. Of course, so many of the skills used by adults are your special skills. I didn't know it was you. I was so stupid. Tian Nialang said. Jia Yan was non-committal and nodded, okay, the battle is over. You can take care of the funeral affairs. I will leave first. Yes, I would like to send you my best regards. Several clones of Jia Yan flew back towards the super-fast ships they came from. When they came, everyone in every fast ship doubted their strength, but now when they fly back, they are frightened and admired. Originally, the creatures in the universe worshipped the strong, and Jia Yan's avatar was not an ordinary strong man, but a star-level existence. Of course, at least in the eyes of others, he was reaching the star level, the strength he felt was only half a star level. But no matter what the energy level is, if the combat power is stellar level, then it can be regarded as stellar level. From Jia Yan's own point of view, this is not a big problem. Sir, you are back. Come on, our nutrition warehouse is ready. You can enter your training quickly. When Jia Yan's seriously injured clone came to a fast battleship that he had just sent, all the senior officials and soldiers in the battleship were extremely respectful to Jia Yan, and then asked him to go to the battleship restorative nutrition warehouse inside. Okay, thank you. Now let me go to those fronts according to the original plan. Jia Yan's clone didn't seem to feel much about his injuries, and just gave instructions lightly. Yes sir. A group of members in the battleship agreed one after another. Now this clone has finally established its strength in their minds. When he left just now, everyone was not optimistic about it, but now this clone has actually transformed from a semi-star level strongman they thought to a permanent one. Stars, and after teaming up with others, they can kill the mid-level powerhouses of stars, so these battleship members are extremely respectful. You must know that this is a star level, and it is also an extremely terrifying powerhouse in their biochemical star field. If it is the Orion Arm, it is a powerful existence that the Orion Arm has never had. One after another, the approaching superfast ships return towards the established route at their original speed. Now the 6 clones are separated again. In this scene, the battleship members on this side of the battle line are a little strange. Since these powerful people are together and so powerful, why do they have to separate again? They didn't know that there were many clones of Jia Yan, some of them were flying in the outside world, some were even halfway there, and many of them found that the war here was over and then returned. If they knew that there were star-level experts like this appearing on all fronts at this time, wouldn't they be so happy that they would explode? But these ordinary battleship members will soon discover this. Because while the war was going on here, on the other front, the Imperial Army also came and launched a violent attack. Guarding here is the female scorpion-like life form among Jia Yan's subordinates. Because she had been pregnant for a period of time and had to take care of the child, her current strength was probably the weakest among all Jia Yan's subordinates. So this time she also met 2 stellar mid-level creatures, but was defeated by these 2 giants. The mid-level star warriors were instantly suppressed. It turns out that the subordinates of the giant Mosquito clan are just that weak. Haha, if you are beaten by us, you will die soon. Let's see if you guys dare to be arrogant this time. When our empire ruled the biochemical star field over there, you always stood up and threatened us. The 2 mid-level star warriors joined forces to attack the scorpion creature. Their attack is some kind of extremely amazing joint stunt. You must know that in the universe, there are very few people who have reached the mid-level star level, and among the 2 mid-level star powerhouses, there are still those who can join forces. This is even more, after all, in a place like the Divine Realm, where there is great pressure from the outside world, few strong people are willing to get so close and spend a lot of time practicing joint stunts. And these two stellar mid-levels did just that. Even their strength was a bit stronger than the average stellar mid-levels. When they joined forces, it was even more terrifying. It is normal for the strong female scorpion tribe to be unable to compete with them. Puff. There was a shocking loud noise in the starry sky. The female scorpion suddenly flew backwards. Kill her. The two mid-level stellar creatures suddenly rushed towards the female scorpion creature. But just before things reached a critical point, two figures approaching quickly, one behind the other, flew in front of the female scorpion creature. He blocked the combined attack of these two stellar mid-level powerhouses for her. Bang! The instant battle exploded, causing an extremely astonishing roar to appear in the vacuum of the universe. This is stellar primary? How is it possible? The two mid-level stellar creatures, at this moment, felt that the strength of the one in front of them was only the first level star, and they suddenly felt a shock in their hearts, completely in disbelief. It turned out that what they saw in front of them were indeed the first level star powerhouses, but the number was not just 2, but 7 or 8 large or small creatures with the first level star power after joining forces. The appearance of each of these creatures is very different, but one thing is similar, that is, the aura of their bodies is almost exactly the same. Even the feeling of brainwave power is like a person. That's right, it's Jia Yan's clone coming again. This clone will no longer be the 6 clones that fought on the same road before, but the 8 primary star creatures that kept meeting and then gathered in one place on the rescue road. On the way over, Jia Yan also studied his maximum control ability, and then found that the number of clones he could control to the maximum extent was 4 clones, so he formed a team of 4 and 4 and turned into 2 figures. Although each of these 2 figures is an elementary level of constant breath, their actual combat power is a bit stronger than the strength of the initial level of stars that formed a team of 3 or 3 on the battlefield before. After all, there is an extra clone. So at this moment, at a certain price, the joint attack of the 2 stellar mid-level powerhouses was actually blocked by them. Grown-ups. Just like the cowherd, the female scorpion creature that mastered Jia Yan's yin and yang dao, after feeling the brainwave power of the incoming 8-star primary powerhouse, she instantly analyzed the true identity of the incoming person. Okay, please step back and let me deal with these 2 guys. Jia Yan said this calmly using one of his clones. What? Are you going to deal with it for us, the 2 middle-level stars? There are just 8 elementary-level stars who dare to say such things. It is simply a matter of life and death. Although I don't know where you guys come from, the majesty of the middle-level stars cannot be offended. You are dead. The 2 stellar mid-level experts were immediately furious. You must know that as a star-level strong person, the dignity of the strong is irreversible. Just like Jia Yan, he will protect his own dignity as a strong person, let alone other creatures. But what they didn't know was that what they were facing was not an elementary creature from a star at all, but a group of clones that existed at the pinnacle of stars. Although the strength of this group of clones appears to be at the primary level of stars, after they join forces, their strength has definitely reached the mid-level of stars. Even compared with the combined strength of these 2 powerful mid-level stars, it cannot be said that too bad. The actual result of the battle depends on the situation of the battle. Die. The 2 mid-level star beings did not talk much to Jia Yan and the clones. As mid-level star beings, they did not know what moves these first-level star powerhouses used to resist what they had just done. They joined forces to attack, but they believed that it would definitely not be simple for a primary star creature to achieve such a thing. It might have taken all the strength of one of them to do it. So they launched another attack to make the group of mere constant breathing elementary creatures in front of them look down on themselves if they dared to offend them. Boom boom boom. Between heaven and earth, an earth-shaking sense of power suddenly exploded. Even the aftermath of the battle between the two mid-level powerhouses from the stars caused the surrounding warships to bump and tremble due to the power of their battle. An Orion Arm warship even disintegrated in the air due to insufficient technology. This is a huge loss. Snort. Jia Yan here saw it, so he didn't let his 8 clones just defend, but immediately used the power of brain waves. A move containing the explosive power of Yin-Yang Dao was released instantly. The attack law of this power is very simple, that is, before the attack, positive and negative power is brewed. At this moment, although the enemy will notice the feeling of power, on the surface, this power seems to be stronger than the power that will explode later. The power is several times smaller, so it won't be too defensive. The same was true at this time. After feeling the combined power of the clones at this moment, the two intermediate-level creatures from the stars smiled disdainfully. Then they moved with great strength, preparing to crush the combined power of the 8 primary-level creatures from the stars, and then again kill these 8 guys brutally to establish your authority for the next war. It's a pity that they completely missed the calculation of how far the explosive attack power exerted by Jia Yan's clone would reach. When the positive and negative forces on both sides collide, and then explode directly towards the two stellar mid-level creatures. The entire front was in chaos. Boom boom boom. The earth-shaking terrifying power exploded in the vacuum, and then more incomparable terrifying power was implicated, and it felt like the heaven and earth were pouring down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1629. This explosion of positive and negative forces is really terrifying. There was a huge roar in the starry sky. The two middle-level stellar creatures, at this moment, both felt a sense of panic at the arrival of the 8 primary-level clones of the stars. What kind of power is this? Can 8 stars emit such power at the beginning? Impossible. The two stellar mid-level creatures only had such thoughts at this moment, but their more thoughts still resisted the powerful bombardment. After all, they are two powerful mid-level stars who have joined forces, and their combined strength is greater than the strength of two ordinary mid-level stellar beings. They used almost all their strength, and then the 8 clones of Jia Yan who were coming joined forces and directly annihilated them. Although they were unscathed, the two stellar mid-level creatures had completely different mentality at this moment. They were shocked and furious. You must know that the opponents are only the elementary creatures of the 8 stars. For them, although they cannot be said to be ants, they are not the elementary creatures of the 8 stars, so they can deal with the two of them together. But now, they were targeted and had a tie record. This is a huge joke. You are seeking death. The two middle-level stars did not give the joint creatures of the 8 primary-level stars any chance to talk again. Even if the opponent can have low resistance in one blow, the primary star is the primary star. Even if they are the 8 primary star creatures, their actual combat power is definitely extremely weak. After all, as a primary star creature, their explosive the level of power is impossible to compare with a mid-level star creature. An important reason why a mid-level stellar creature is almost invincible to a primary-level stellar powerhouse like them is that for a mid-level stellar creature, for a primary-level stellar powerhouse, the brainwaves of power are the total amount exceeds who knows how much. Even if both sides have the same level of brainwave power, when it comes to endurance, mid-level stellar creatures can crush a group of primary-level stellar beings. This time, they wanted to use their stellar mid-level endurance to compete in a brainwave power competition with this group of self-proclaimed powerful stellar primary creatures. Although they still don't know who this group of creatures is, and they don't know if they are people invited by the Orion Arm, but since they take action, they must treat them as enemies. Therefore, there was no mercy in their actions. Among the two interstellar mid-level creatures who joined forces, one was a bird-like creature, and the other was like an ant. The two sides' shapes were completely unrelated to each other, but what I didn't expect was that their cooperation is actually quite complementary. The attack range of ants is very large, and a bird-like creature has a long beak and can carry out powerful frontal attacks. Therefore, the two parties have developed a set of very powerful joint tricks, which are often able to achieve many victories of enemies. Their goal is to challenge a peak mid-level star creature in the Empire after returning this time. As long as they can defeat such a powerful mid-level star, then they will be recognized as among the stars in the Empire. The most terrifying group of creatures among the highest level of strength. It's a pity that they don't have the chance to go back. The confrontation between the two sides was very fast. On the one hand, it was the joint effort of Jia Yan's 8-star primary clones, and on the other hand, it was the joint effort of the two powerful mid-level stars. Originally, the strength of these two parties should be very different. But now in the two major aspects of the battle was directly tied with one blow after another in an instant. I don't believe it. Why we can only fight to a draw with you. We are sure that we can suppress a peak intermediate level star with a unique combination of skills. You 8-star level creatures can actually pose a threat to us. Or even a draw with us. At this moment, the two mid-level stars felt astonished as if they were in a dream. For them, the battle at this time should have been a complete victory for them. But the reality was a slap in the face. At this moment, they felt like the sky was falling. There was another fact that shocked them even more, and it also gave them a heavy blow, as if they were dizzy, making each of them feel as if the scene at this time was unreal. Because the two middle-level creatures from the two stars had obviously used all their strength when attacking. Although their own power was consumed very quickly, they estimated that the opponent was an elementary-level creature from the 8 stars, and their strength should be consumed quickly. That's right. But after several fights, their two stellar mid-level creatures felt a slight sense of loss of power at this moment. But on the other hand, the other side's primary star creatures, who should have lost their power for a long time, all felt his calm demeanor, and even the feeling of brainwave power in his body, at this moment, remained in the same situation as when the war started. At this glance, they couldn't figure out whether the two powerful men were intermediate-level stellar beings, or whether the other party was an intermediate-level stellar being. After all, as an intermediate stellar creature, the total amount of brainwave power should be much greater than that of an ordinary primary stellar creature. But now it turns out that the first-level powerhouses of the 8 stars don't even feel that they have lost any power. Instead, the two of them have lost all their power? But at this moment, the female creature of the Scorpion clan, like a silly elder sister, actually gave these two mid-level stellar creatures an answer that would make them die in peace. Lord Jia Yan? Is he actually your clone? The screams of the female scorpion creature made the two mid-level stellar creatures instantly stunned. This is actually the clone of the ancestor of their giant Mosquito clan? This shouldn't be true. Didn't I say that the weakest creature must be a creature of the lower star level to be able to use the clone to fight? Even these 8 stellar creatures all have star level strength, so their true bodies must at least have the strength of a peak star. Not even that, they must have the strength of the galaxy level. That giant Mosquito ancestor is actually a galaxy level being? This is impossible. If it is a galaxy level creature, how can our empire dare to come and fight with him? No, we have to report this information back. The two mid-level stellar creatures looked at each other. As partners who had been together for many years, they instantly understood each other's thoughts. Since these 8 great arrivals are a late-level star, or even a clone of a galaxy-level powerhouse, then even if they lose, it will be nothing. After all, their clones are extremely powerful masters. They have terrifying cross-level combat capabilities, so even if they go back like this, their empire will not only not punish them for their failure, but will even reward them for reporting such important information back. The two stellar mid-level creatures wanted to turn around directly. It is a pity that they have lost too much power in the battle just now, and the 8 clones of Jia Yan are using the power of Jia Yan's body. Even if they fight now, Jia Yan's body has no power. It consumes more than 1/10, so it is almost unlimited. Did you want to escape? Unfortunately, it was discovered too late. Jia Yan smiled silently, and then, the 8 clones approached the 2 stellar mid-level creatures at lightning speed. At this time, the strong female from the Scorpion tribe also quickly approached the battlefield area. In fact, as a member of Jia Yan's team, how could she really be so stupid? What she said just now was just to paralyze the unwary enemy. And she also knows that Mr. Jia Yan has already taken the initiative in the war. As long as she tells such a piece of news and causes the other party to be in chaos and then escape, then she can also get a little credit. Of course, yes, she doesn't dare to take away Master Jia Yan's credit, but there's nothing she can't do if she comes to help Jia Yan fight, right? So she joined the battle at this moment. The 2 middle-level stellar powerhouses who have lost most of their strength have no advantage at all in terms of their strength under the avatars of a middle-level stellar 1 and 8 external Jia Yan. It should even be said that they are already in a due to the disadvantage and the shock in their minds. A clone of Jia Yan found an opportunity in an instant. After one blow, a stellar mid-level existence was killed. Another mid-level star had a look of extreme anger on his face when he saw that his partner of many years had died like this. However, he did not choose to attack. Instead, after a flash of anger in his eyes, he quickly used your own most terrifying way to escape. It is a bird creature, so it naturally has its own wings, but these wings should have no effect in the vacuum of the universe. But at this time, he opened his wings, and then these wings instantly it fanned out an extremely terrifying wind. It turns out that this creature's innate ability is to escape, and in this vacuum of space, even if there is no wind or air, his wings still have a way of escape that uses the power of brain waves to accelerate. At this moment, its speed suddenly accelerated, and it was about to disappear into the starry sky. But just when the creature was about to escape, a life form that was also a bird creature hit the top of its head. This is a tiny creature dozens of times smaller than the stellar mid-level creature in front of him. You dare to block me, get out of here. This mid-level stellar bird creature suddenly became furious at this moment, fearing that this bird-like creature would really block his way forward. Judging from the size, this bird creature is only about 1.5 stars in strength. If it dares to block a mid-level star, it is almost like seeking death. But what he didn't expect at all was that this creature was actually another clone of Jia Yan. Every time a war breaks out on the battlefield, Jia Yan will gather all the clones in the super-fast battleships flying nearby. This bird-like semi-star clone is also such a creature. It just came too slowly, and now it was just in front of the bird creature. Puff. As the two sides collided, the cloned bird creature actually exploded with a shocking positive and negative force in the sky above its head. What? It's this power again. You are actually clones of that giant Mosquito clan. Originally, the bird star mid-level creature was unlikely to be affected by him even if the opponent burst out with star-level positive and negative power against the strength of this bird clone. Instead, there was a certain chance that it would this clone kills with one strike. But now, a lot of his power has disappeared out of thin air, so the burst of power cannot kill the bird clone with one blow. His speed was suddenly blocked by this clone. Ah, damn. This bird star mid-level creature saw the 8 clones and the scorpion creature chasing behind him. If he didn't escape, he would definitely perish, and he immediately started struggling with great anger. Facing such an attack, the bird clone suffered a lot of injuries on his body, and even one blow was close to killing him. But Jia Yan got out of the way without any intention of retreating, creating important time for the clones and scorpion creatures that were chasing after him. Not long after, the 8 clones arrived. Bang! The 8 clones almost combined their efforts to attack, and even the scorpion creature made the same move. Such terrifying power instantly caused the middle-level bird creature of the star to have its head fall into the starry sky. Sharp. The subordinates of the scorpion tribe were shocked when they felt the strength of Jia Yan's 9 clones. She knew that even if she were to face these seemingly weak 9 clones, she might die, so she heartily praised her. One sentence. Of course, she also knew how the clone controlled by Lord Jia Yan himself could not be powerful. Okay, you go clean the battlefield, I'll go back. Jia Yan's clone said this again silently. Okay sir. The scorpion clone returned to the war team. Even if she doesn't go back, the war at this time is almost one-sided. After all, the strongest people on one side are dead. If the Empire doesn't escape, is it waiting for the middle-level subordinates of the Scorpion clan stars, or the new 9 great ones? Are the suspected stellar-level creatures going to hunt them down? Although the 9 major creatures did not pursue them, the Imperial fleet could be said to have lost its battle. This war once again ended with the Orion Arm and Biochemical Star Territory Coalition forces, which withstood the sudden attack, neutralizing the enemy's attack. All of Jia Yan's clones are active everywhere on the battlefield today. However, he carefully looked at several lines of defense, and asked several subordinates about the current battle situation and the enemy's movements, and finally calmed down, because apart from these 2 waves of attacks on key areas, the enemy seemed to have no other attacks. Plan of attack. After all, for them, the attacks from these 2 parties will definitely win. Even if there may be a certain stalemate on the Calherd's side, the female Scorpion clan side will be foolproof. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1630. But I didn't expect that the result would be like this. The 2 front lines of the Empire gathered their armies to attack the other half of the biochemical star field, but they were both defeated and even killed so many middle-level stellar powerhouses. Forget it on one side, it can be said that the biochemical star territory saw through our actions, gathered its forces, and killed the attack here, but what happened on the other side? A mid-level star's combat power actually died. On one side of the Empire's defense line, a huge creature with astonishing strength shrouded the endless sea of ships like a dark cloud. This creature is one of several major lower-level star creatures in the Empire. Because there is an agreement, or there are international laws that restrict them, it is difficult for them to be dispatched in this war, so these few lower-level star creatures, before did not take action in the war. But seeing the fighting power on his side being quickly annihilated in the hands of the opponent's strong men, this low-level star creature only felt heartache and disbelief. Their empire had carefully planned this surprise attack for a long time, and had also investigated the combat effectiveness of the other half of the Orion Arm. They never thought that in addition to the 9 members of Jia Yan's team, there would be other people here. Extremely strong. But the fact shocked them. Because this Orion Arm actually invited so many primary stellar creatures, and even these primary stellar creatures whose origins were unknown, actually had several primary stellar creatures to join forces, and then achieved such a terrifying feat of defeating the mid-level stellar powerhouses. Ability to join forces. This is so surprising. You must know that even in a large star field with a galaxy level, there are many restrictions on the moves of star-level alliances, and not many strong people can master them. Especially between star-level alliances, they must be close and intimate. This is possible only by absolute trust in others, which limits the cooperation between star-level powerhouses. They also believe that it is almost impossible for more than 2 star-level powerhouses to achieve such a multi-star level alliance. Something incredibly difficult. But coincidentally, a method of joining forces that had not been seen in other star fields appeared in the Orion Arm, which they thought was lagging behind. And what emerges is not 1 or 2 strong men who join forces, but a group of strong men who can join forces, and even this cooperation can actually lead to a unity. This is unbelievable. Let's find out first. We know too little about the giant Mosquito clan in the Orion Arm. I have a bad premonition now. After all, in addition to these weird star-level powerhouses, the giant Mosquito ancestor himself, have never taken action, and his strength is a mystery, so we must be careful. Send a peace negotiation mission over first. It's not to really negotiate peace, but to see their details and take a look at their tone. If they are too submissive, it means they have no trump card. If they are very confident, it means that they have no trump cards. They have other backup tools, and we need to treat them carefully. The low-level star creature at the front of the battle line said this to the surrounding subordinates one by one. This powerful person at the lower level of the star is not completely abstaining from taking action. Although there are some international legal restrictions, as a transcendent powerhouse, as long as it is not excessive, there is nothing wrong with taking action personally. No big deal, but the problem is that the Empire also knows that there is also someone on the Orion Arm who may have reached the lower stages of the star. That is the giant Mosquito ancestor. So it's a delicate balance. Huh? Is there a request for peace from the Imperial fleet? This is just a test, but let them come over. We welcome guests here. Jia Yan was in Luo Longxi's fleet, looming and hidden in the subspace behind the fleet. Yes sir. Luo Longxi felt very safe with Jia Yan in her fleet. After all, Jia Yan was the strongest person she imagined. If Jia Yan was in her fleet, she would not be safe. There was only one possibility. That is, a galaxy-level existence came to this battlefield. Of course, this is almost impossible, because they have tried their best to prevent a galaxy-level being from knowing the emergence of their evolved beast's combat power. In other words, even if they know, they will not let others know their true identity. The combat effectiveness is approaching the galaxy level. So under such circumstances, with Master Jia Yan personally in charge, what safety issues does she have to worry about? Send the order and let them come. Come directly to us. Relancy smiled lightly and gave the order. Tianyi Alang's side will definitely be very unwilling, because their side has always been the center alongside Luo Longxi's side, or in other words, their side is more of a center, but now Master Jia Yan they are all on her side, how dare the cowherd disobey her? As expected, everyone was surprised when the Empire also received a reply and learned that their peace delegation would be visiting Luo Longxi's fleet. They also thought that they were going to the cowherd to discuss peace matters, but they didn't expect that Luo Longxi, who seemed to be on equal terms with the cowherd, was coming, but in the eyes of outsiders, she was still far behind. This is the female creature who is the first class of cowherd. Tianyi Alang naturally knew that Jia Yan must be on Luo Longxi's side, so he just felt depressed for a while and said nothing more. The Empire didn't quite understand the gap between Jia Yan's subordinates, so after being confused for a while, they set off for Luo Longxi without wanting to worry about it. As a strong person, his reaction time and speed are extremely fast. The arrival of this peace negotiation mission actually came only half a month after the war. Both sides have just fought, and they have a certain understanding of each other's strength and ability, and neither side has taken much advantage. After all, it seems that the strong one on the Orion Arm side has won the round, but in fact that round what was revealed in this battle was that the Empire still had the upper hand. This is the stellar mid-level creature who is coming to our Empire this time. Are you Lady Relancy? A star-level creature, as the highest level creature to introduce each other to both sides, came to the front of Luo Longxi's army. On the side of Luo Longxi's army, there was also a half-star creature that flew up in front of this elementary star creature. Although he tried his best to pretend to be very calm, he still felt a little uncomfortable because of the difference in strength. Speak naturally. Yes, this is Lady Luo Longxi here. Is the middle-level stellar lady over there Lord Teton? Please. Good. The two sides met like this, and the peace negotiation group quickly entered Luo Longxi's army. For such a peace negotiation, the number of strong men originally sent was extremely impressive. After all, it was necessary to prevent any changes in Luo Longxi's army, so the strength of the mid-level strong men from the stars who came was extremely terrifying. So even if they couldn't defeat Luo Longxi's fleet, if there was any conflict, it would still be okay to hold on for a while and let the fleet and strong men behind them come to greet them. Lady Lawrence, is that right? When the fleets of both sides met at one place, an extremely huge female-like creature with green leaves all over its body floated in the air. In the Imperial fleet on the other side, a similarly imposing creature appeared. Ask softly speaking. Yes, you must be Master Teton. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lawrence's eyes flickered as she looked at the place where the sound was coming. Lady Relancy, your strength is indeed good, but unfortunately, the fleet and subordinates around you have let me down a bit. Titan flew out of the huge ship he belonged to, and it turned out that he was a crocodile-like creature. This creature is at least over 5 kilometers in size, which is larger than Luo Longxi. Oh, you said that my subordinates have disappointed you. Do you think that if you go to war with me now, you can escape from the encirclement of these subordinates who have disappointed you? You can give it a try. When Lawrence saw the other party saying this from the beginning, she knew that they were not really here to negotiate peace this time, so her tone became colder. No, since we are here to negotiate peace, we will naturally not start a war again. Teton's eyes were shining brightly. Seeing that Luo Longxi was overwhelmed by his words, she actually said the words of fighting coldly and forcefully. It was obvious that she was not afraid of real fighting, so he also had some confidence in his heart. Okay, since you are here to negotiate peace, tell me your policy. I believe you have the bottom line you want. As a strong person, Luo Longxi's time is also very precious. She also roughly knows what the other party is thinking about the peace negotiation, so it is better to talk quickly now, and then both sides can fight or retreat temporarily, which can speed up the progress. Anyway, I'm not afraid at all. The Titan was actually a little frightened at this time. Because he felt that Luo Longxi had great self-confidence both inside and outside her words. This was a very bad phenomenon. Even a mid-level stellar powerhouse can have confidence. If you think about it, you will know that it is definitely not simple. In order to help some homeless people in the biochemical star field and those who want to see half of their families, our empire accidentally attacked you. Our intentions were good. I don't know if you can understand our intentions. Action. Teton said. To help homeless people? And to help people who want to see our family members? Haha, okay Teton, let's keep it secret. We know what your plans are. Let's do this, you tell us what your bottom line is, and then we can talk about it. If not, it would be more pleasant to just start fighting. The task entrusted to Luo Longxi by Jia Yan was to delay it as long as possible. After all, what they wanted was time. But if you don't be tough now, it will be even more troublesome if the other party sees through your needs. Maybe someone will take advantage of you, which will definitely be counterproductive. Start the war directly? It is not a bad option, but our empire loves peace, and this war is only started out of wanting to help the poor homeless people in the biochemical star territory. You Orion arm don't for our sake, okay, let me tell you our bottom line. In order to allow us to control the half of the biological star field border, for the sake of those who want a home and want to see your family, your Orion arm should show a little humanitarian spirit and let the half of the people who appear on the actual control line between the two sides give us the light-year border, so that the poor people within the control line of the half of the biochemical star field we control will surely be able to find their families. Teton shamelessly stated their requests and reasons. Lawrence heard her chest rise and fall, and she almost went crazy with anger. As a strong person, although she has experienced many battles, they were all between strong people robbing each other or fighting each other. She has never experienced a war between forces or between countries, so she is not interested in such a battle. It is very unacceptable to have a high-sounding robbery with a reason. But I can't stand it and there's nothing I can do about it, this is the reality. Your Majesty Teton, since this is what your empire wants, then I'm sorry, we refuse. Luo Longxi knew Jia Yan's answer without even asking him. Looking at what Jia Yan did, how could he have such a past of being bullied? She was even thinking that if Jia Yan's mentality had not gradually changed to that of a strong man, and he had become calmer, and he had been replaced by the previous Jia Yan, maybe he would have taken action to kill this person who was much weaker than herself, and the middle-level star who dared to talk nonsense came to kill him. Reject. Te10 looked gloomy for a while. Yes, this was his mission when he came to the half-controlled area of the Orion Arm. If he could talk about it, he would have actual control over half a light year. He could be considered a bit of a credit. Of course, this half-light year control Quan is just the first step. First, see the reality of the Orion Arm. In the future, their empire will naturally take the second and third steps, until it swallows the entire biochemical star field into its belly. Even the Orion Arm itself, a territory that seemed to be shrouded in a defensive shield, they had begun to make detailed plans. If there was a chance in the future, they would win it in one fell swoop. But now that it's half a light year away, it's probably not that easy to win. Relancy, the person in charge, refused without even thinking about it. Laurency, you did a good job. When Luo Longxi spoke, but felt that she was a little disrespectful by not asking Jia Yan, a brainwave power from Jia Yan reached her ears and gave her motivation. At the same time, this former female god breathed a sigh of relief. Nat's crocodile strongman Teton spoke. Lord Lilancy, I respect that you are an outsider, but you have occupied this vast star field, and you are somewhat talented. Think about it, you are outsiders after all, and you want to defend this strange territory, but you can't. It's not an easy task. You might think that the strong man from the giant Mosquito family behind you would have enough strength to take over, right? Admittedly, I think even a strong man like you will be defeated by that strong man from the giant Mosquito family. After conquering the creatures, his strength should be astonishing, and he might be able to reach or even surpass some of the lower-ranking stars in my empire, but Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Buletin Yu. Chapter 1631. But you have to think clearly, you are outsiders, you are not welcome in this vast starry sky, and here, our empire is not the only civilization. Above us, there are civilizations and empires with galaxy-level powerhouses, and even, there are domain lords. Although he was rejected, Natin still felt tireless. He knew that it was impossible for Luo Longxi to give in, but why was he still talking at this time? In fact, the reason is very simple. This was supposed to be a big victory, but it was lost. This caused some conservatives from the empire to show up and say they wanted to retreat. But since the war has started, there is no way for the empire to maneuver around. There is no room left, either continue to fight, or run away in despair. The more important reason is that the combat power they dispatched this time is actually the most powerful combat power they can dispatch on the biochemical starfield front. In that battle, in addition to secretly except for the Starback level being who did not take action, all other combat forces that could be dispatched were mobilized, and such combat forces were defeated. Even if they wanted to fight, they actually did not have any troops to fight again. That's right, the suppression of half of the biochemical star territory still hindered the Empire's extremely huge manpower and material resources. Therefore, fighting on the edge here would not be able to free up so many manpower, and it was originally thought to be a great victory. Actually achieved a huge defeat, the conservatives in the Empire made a big fuss, saying that they would stop coveting the other half of the biochemical star field this time. It is impossible to stop, but it is also difficult to continue the fight, so the Empire wants a somewhat honorable armistice plan. This time, to put it bluntly, it is just a process that seeks benefits. It is no longer possible to continue the war that occupies half a light year, so we have to think of other ways. Your Excellency Teton, just tell me what you want directly. I don't think you are really that naive and think that I, the Orion Arm, will give in to your blackmail, right? I'm blackmailing? Haha, Your Excellency Rollins, I am surprised by the low level of negotiation art among your forces. Your Excellency Rollins, I wonder if you have ever heard of a saying that a negotiator who can't negotiate is just a negotiator. Let him go home. If you were a member of my empire, I believe you would never appear where you are now. What, are you saying that my negotiation skills are not good in disguise? Forget it, Mr. Teton, just say what you want to say. If there is nothing else to say, I will not stay here. In other words, what do you think of your current strength? Can it really be fought out from my fleet? Do you want to give it a try? Luo Longxi was actually a little sensitive to Teton's words, because she knew that Jia Yan behind her was in the subspace and could hear their conversation. If she heard Teton's conversation from the bottom of her heart, thinking about it, Luo Longxi is really not suitable for negotiation. In the future, such a task will definitely fall into the hands of Tianyu Lang and others, and her status may be shaken. No, no, I don't dare to do anything to you. In short, I came here with a really friendly attitude. If your attitude is like this, then I will have to treat your attitude as yours. The attitude of the Orion Arm and the so-called Biochemical Star Alliance has changed. I believe that several main war factions in our empire still want to hear your attitude. Don't you think your current attitude is wrong? Don't be unhappy. Anyway, I have a suggestion. Since you don't agree with the half-light year condition we proposed, let's do this. Let's not talk about war. Everyone knows that we don't want to start a war now. We are all peace-loving people. So how about using a strong challenge to slowly decide who owns the territory? Huh? Challenge the strong ones. Do you want to say that you need to use stellar-level strong men to fight? Okay, even if we have a few of us at the mid-level star level, there will be no problem. But if you send out star-level lower-level ones, even if a strong person fights with us middle-level strong people, we can't win. Please tell us a way to fight. As soon as Lawrence heard the other party's words, she knew what they were planning. That is, no matter how many strong men come to the Orion Arm this time to help, they absolutely do not believe that the overall disadvantage of the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory in terms of strong men can be wiped out in one go, because no one believes it. The gap of hundreds of star levels can be easily smoothed out by the giant Mosquito clan. Therefore, it is also a good option to use the strong people to challenge and slowly annex the territory of the biochemical star territory. After all, after seeing the combat effectiveness of the Orion Arm and those inexplicably coming star-level strong men, they also the Orion Arm is different from the other half of the biochemical star field. It is indeed a sudden star field that can engulf the entire biochemical star field. Its strength cannot be underestimated. But Luo Longxi was stunned for a moment, but she finally understood what the other party was thinking, and at the same time, there was no trace of joy in her heart. What do they, Jia Yan's subordinates and forces, lack? What is lacking is time. If there is time, then they will have the opportunity to practice to a higher level. Of course, the most important thing is to create time for Jia Yan. As long as Jia Yan reaches the galaxy level, then most dangers will be solved. That's right, Lady Luo Longxi, if you are willing to use this method, we can naturally talk, but I am not talking about a battle between star classes. Star classes are extremely valuable combat power, and existences like ours, you shouldn't go to too many battlefields to fight to the death. Your ideas may be a bit extreme. My plan is to make the half-star level 1 level, the Venerable level 1 level, and the Starry Sky level 1 level, so 3 large level battles. The number of people and detailed fighting methods will be finalized slowly in the future, as long as you agree. You may say that there are very few semi-star level masters here, but this depends on the overall strength. If you know, then I can't help you, so what, do you agree with what I say? Turton seemed certain that Rolo Enfi would agree. This is also the case. When he raised this point, Luo Longxi didn't say anything and suddenly heard Jia Yan's voice transmission. Promise him, but the time will be delayed until 5 years later. There was nothing in Jia Yan's words that surprised Luo Longxi, and the promise was what she also wanted to do. The other 5 years were something that Relancy had not thought about clearly just now. 5 years will not make the empire wait too long, but it will also buy more time for cultivation. Lord Teton, I generally agree with the plan you mentioned, but it requires a certain amount of time to negotiate with others. Another point is that you also know the situation on our side. We have no plans for the Orion Arm, and the biochemical star field have not reached the control of your empire, so it will take a certain amount of time to select players. Let's set a 5-year period first, and then compete again after 5 years. You must also know that to integrate the forces from both sides, 5 years is not a long time. Lawrence's words made Nathan groan slightly in displeasure. 5 years is indeed a bit much, but it is within the acceptable range. Because it took them several years to deal with half of the biochemical star territory, and they must have faced the more difficult to deal with the Orion Arm and the other half of the biochemical star territory alliance, as well as the unknown forces behind them like the giant Mosquito clan. It is a protracted battle, so these 5 years are not too long. Okay, but I hope that after 5 years you can send out a team, but don't say anything about being unable to fight. In addition, our subordinates will discuss the details of the battle for territory. We only need to formulate the general direction. That's good, isn't it? After Teton said this, he began to say goodbye. To him, Lawrence did not welcome him, and he was not willing to come to this enemy camp where enemies were everywhere. Okay, bye then. After saying goodbye, Teton flew straight back. He had gained a lot from this trip. After all, he determined that the Empire would slowly encroach on this semi-biochemical star field step by step in the future. As long as he won once, and if the Orion Arm is forced to challenge a few strong men, then there will always be a chance to swallow up half of the biochemical star field on the Orion Arm in the future, or simply make the giant Mosquito clan of the Orion Arm angry, and then fight them. But he didn't think this giant Mosquito had any chance of winning. As he said, so what if this giant Mosquito was a top-level star? They are just a stellar back ranker. In addition to the 3 stellar back rank warriors from their own empire, there is also a more powerful galaxy-level civilization serving as the backstage. This stellar back ranker is probably afraid of these, so he don't dare to show up. After slowly annexing the biochemical star field, it is time to deal with the Orion Arm itself. In short, all this must be considered in the long term. For Teton, he knows that this will be a protracted war, so he thinks that he has done this right. One thing will be a person whose name will go down in history. Sir, I am right to do this. Very good. 5 years is enough for me to improve my strength to a certain extent. You should also work hard and improve your strength. Yes. After Jia Yan gave this order, he immersed himself in his own cultivation under great pressure. 5 years, of course, there is no guarantee that a conflict will break out in these 5 years, but I need to prepare in advance. No matter what the outcome of the battle is in 5 years, I will also prevent the Empire from making any impulsive moves. I hope nothing will happen. It's an accident. In addition, these 5 years. Jia Yan was thinking about things in the subspace, and suddenly a good idea came to his mind. Far away in the genius battlefield, there is a young man who looks just like an Earthling, who is practicing silently on the Tingtian Pavilion star. Yes, my strength has improved again, and I'm not too far away from the venerable level. This person stood up, and his strength actually crackled as he moved, reaching the back level of the starry sky. He is Jia Yan's nominal son Jia Rong. At this time, Jia Rong has been in the genius battlefield for a long time. As he learns more and more about his own strength and the genius battlefield, he feels deep in his heart for Jia Yan, I slowly gave up my heart. As a person who has come to the genius battlefield, he knows that his talent is indeed good. He may even be a top genius in this genius battlefield, and there is a certain chance of being even more talented than the top genius. But compared to that person, there is still a huge difference. The legendary incident of Jia Yan has been spreading wildly in this genius battlefield for a long time. Although it has cooled down a bit recently, as the most terrifying genius in the history of the genius battlefield, he even walked on his own along the way. Having reached the stellar level, his story is a legendary story that almost everyone in this genius battlefield gradually learns about. Jia Yan, the evolved beast, the giant Mosquito clan. Thinking of Jia Yan's legend, and then thinking of Jia Yan's identity on the other side of the earth, Jia Rong felt a wry smile at the corner of his mouth. He already knows that his identity has nothing to do with the people on earth. Apart from his appearance, he is very similar to people on earth. There is even a certain possibility of intermarriage with people on earth. But at the genetic level, he is not like people on earth. Humans are two completely different creatures. So he felt very uncomfortable. His identity as an earthling was found in Shiyuan. For him, it had always been a place where he was quite proud and considered his only connection with the earth. But now this sense of identity is gone. He had just reached the back steps of the starry sky and was about to get up and move. Very good, you have reached the back level of the starry sky. Now, I want you to reach the exalted within 3 years, and then return to the Orion arm. Participate in the battle with the Empire's strong men. Suddenly, when Jia Rong was about to leave the retreat room where he had been in seclusion for a long time and go outside to get some air, a cold voice reached his ears. Huh? Who? Jia Rong was shocked and looked nearby. But nothing was seen. Even on the Tingtianga planet where there were supposed to be many powerful people, no one noticed the voice. He was the only one who heard the voice. This voice is, are you Jia Yan? Jia Rong's face changed wildly for a while, then calmed down. He knew that in this Tianting pavilion, it was said that there was a clone of Jia Yan, but no one knew where the clone was and when it would move. Therefore, after being here in Tingtian pavilion for so long, he had forgotten about this matter, and he didn't expect that his avatar would actually talk to him today. Why do strong men fight for 3 years? Why should I listen to you? Jia Rong looked slightly cold, then sneered, feeling that his relationship with Jia Yan was still not good. When you reach this level, you should participate in a battle with the strong. The genius battlefield is not suitable for you, because your path is not to fight with geniuses, and after you reach the venerable level, you have already inherited my unique practice. I won't say the law's initial requirements for a second time. Let's think about it ourselves after 3 years. Jia Yan's faint voice reached Jia Rong's ears, and then all the sounds disappeared. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1632. Snored. Feeling the existence of the conversation, the power of brainwaves disappeared, and Jia Rong only felt a burst of anger. He couldn't say what he felt towards Jia Yan. It was hatred before, but now because of the protection of energy, he also knew that Jia Yan didn't seem to be abandoning himself and his mother as he thought. Most likely, he had some difficulties, but for Jia Rong was still extremely unhappy with the way Jia Yan communicated with him. Hostility has long been established, and changing it will not happen overnight. Of course, these things require an opportunity and time before they have a chance to change. And to be honest, his hatred for Jia Yan doesn't actually have much anymore, it's just confrontation. 3 years later, I participated in the Battle of Strong Men. In addition, he said that I am qualified to inherit his unique cultivation method only when I reach the level of the Venerable. I have worked hard for so many years and finally reached the level of the Venerable, and I can only satisfy his cultivation skills. Is it a basic requirement of the law? Jiarong smiled bitterly. In fact, he knows that although he is considered a very talented being in this genius battlefield, there are differences among top geniuses. The more powerful ones can definitely enter the star level, not even the ordinary star level, but there are so many top geniuses, but not many can actually achieve star level. And although he is considered powerful, he is not among the most powerful. So he didn't know whether it would be possible to enter the constant breath level in this life. Now that he heard the unique cultivation method mentioned by Jia Yan, his heart moved slightly. He wanted it, but also had a little bit of self-respect to make him not want it. Well, I guess he just thinks of me as a child until now, but he has completely forgotten that if we count our age, the difference between me and him is only 20 or 30 years. At my age, he might be it's already half a star level. Haha, think about it carefully, what kind of genius am I? How can I inherit his genes? No wonder he doesn't recognize me, there's such a gap. After Jiarong has seen too much in the genius battlefield, his feelings towards Jia Yan have turned into despair. Let alone catching up with him in the future, he will not even be close to him. You must know that Jia Yan is already at the stellar level, and even Jiarongruo is not mistaken. Now he will not be too weak in the stellar level. After all, he is the one. And what about Jiarong himself? Even in Tingtian Pavilion, everyone is praising his talent. Everyone says that he is a top genius in the genius field and has a chance to become a star in his lifetime. But in fact, everyone who knew his talent and actual promotion speed was secretly disappointed. You must know that he is the son of Jia Yan, the genius who has the most terrifying talent in history in the battlefield. Even the son of an evolved beast with incomparable combat power is actually such an ordinary top genius. If Jiarong was the son of an ordinary strong man, that would be great. He would definitely be a glorious ancestor, an extremely dazzling existence. But as the son of the evolved beast Jia Yan, his ability would not make others feel a little disappointed. 5 years. Venerable level, he really thinks highly of me. Jiarong felt a little nervous, because if it were Jia Yan, it would not be a miracle to reach the semi-star level in 5 years, let alone the venerable level, but if it were replaced by Jiarong, who already knew something about him, it would be completely it's different. Jiarong's talent is strong, but it is only better than ordinary geniuses. Now he is just a high-level starry sky existence, and he has just been promoted. If he wants to be promoted in 5 years, he thinks he has a certain chance. Or should be said, it is absolutely possible. But that's not all he was thinking about. He wanted Jia Yan to at least look at him differently, and he wanted Satsuma Kono, who was waiting hard at home, to know that his son could also make her proud. Therefore, he was not satisfied with just the venerable level. It must be at least the venerable mid-level strength. So if he wants to reach the intermediate level of the venerable, he cannot practice as before in the past 5 years. After all, the previous cultivation method will definitely not have any chance of making him reach the intermediate level of the venerable. I remember that he fought with many strong men in this genius battlefield back then. He even participated in many genius battles, so that he could advance to the stellar level in a quick time. But I know, I won't be him, and I can't be him, so it's absolutely impossible to make that much progress, but I may not be able to learn from his path, because for me, at least half of his genes are his. Even among my genes, his genes still play a leading role. Otherwise, with my mother's genes, it would be impossible to achieve the talent I have now. So I practice according to his promotion method, and maybe I will be more capable than I am now. Much better speed. After thinking about all this, Jiarong finally decided on his way of promotion. That is to learn from Jia Yan, and in this genius battlefield, make the largest combat improvement since he emerged from the Orion arm. As a result, a piece of news spread out from within the Tingtian Pavilion star, which had attracted the attention of many people. That evolved beast is the son of Jia Yan, the most terrifying genius in the history of the genius battlefield. Jiarong is ready to go out and challenge the geniuses of the genius battlefield. I heard that this Jiarong is a waste. He has no sense of caring for his father. He is a waste with far lower talents than his father. I've also heard that such a waste actually wants to challenge the geniuses from the outside world. Could it be that he thinks that his father is so famous that he dares to molest the geniuses in our genius field? Haha, even if he thinks so, what can you do? He is the son of Jia Yan. If you dare to hurt him even a hair, just wait for death. I heard that when Jiarong came to our genius battlefield, there was a friction with a half-star level strong man at the entrance. As a result, the second generation man killed the half-star level creature after a disagreement. It seemed that he used some energy clone of his father. He died in one blow. Even when a very powerful primary star creature from our genius battlefield came forward, he could only fight to a draw with his father's energy clone. You know, that was a star in our genius battlefield. A super powerhouse, who is stronger than the average primary star, but he can't even defeat his father's energy clone. This shows how powerful his father is now. Think about it, do you dare to offend him? I think even if he killed a top genius in our genius battlefield, the genius battlefield would not dare to hold him responsible. After all, his father is so powerful now. When the terrifying talent of the evolved beast really breaks out, he will be able to rush forward. When it reaches the galaxy level, it is really so powerful that no one dares to mess with us in the nearby stars. Is this so powerful? Forget it, if I meet him, I'd better let him go. I also happen to be an intermediate in the starry sky and have been recognized as a high-end genius. I hope he won't come to me. In the starry sky, a high-level genius in the starry sky happened to chat with his friends about Jiarong. However, the Jiarong in their mouths was different from what the people in Tingtian Pavilion said. They only said that Jiarong, the son of the evolved beast Jia Yan, was actually a waste. In fact, this is not a random rumor by people from Tianj, or it should be said that they did not spread anything randomly at all, they just told the truth. Master Jia Yan's son is a top-notch genius. But things are often like this. Many people take geniuses out of context. When they know that Jia Yan's son is just an ordinary top genius, they start to say that Jia Yan's son is just a very useless person. An ordinary genius, even Jia Yan began to smear him, so as the rumors became more and more dark, Jiarong, a child who was originally a top genius, was actually regarded as a useless genius who could only rely on his father, and even entered this genius battlefield relies on family conditions. This kind of person is almost the most looked down upon by the geniuses in the genius battlefield. Unfortunately, generally such a genius, in a place like the genius battlefield where no one is afraid of your background, when you meet other geniuses, they are often badly repaired, but Jiarong's father is Jia Yan. He will be the fastest evolved beast to enter the galaxy level in the genius battlefield in these years, and even have a certain chance to become the starry sky. No one dares to offend the Overlord's creature, such a biological heir. Not even the genius war domain officials want to cause any friction with Jiarong. Oh, you said that Jiarong is a waste, right? In the starry sky, the genius creatures who were talking to Jiarong suddenly heard a voice. A slowly flying warship arrived on the planet where they were. These geniuses pride themselves on having similar strengths in this area, and they are all high-level geniuses. Therefore, Except for a few of them, almost no outsiders come here where they often gather. So after the battleship arrived, and even the creatures in the battleship asked them, these creatures, who were almost all starry sky level, stood up one by one and looked at the uninvited visitors coldly. "Your Excellency, we are talking about Jiurong. The name of trash has long been spread throughout the star region. You can just ask elsewhere. Why bother asking us? Yes, please don't come closer, otherwise we will consider you offensive." Several geniuses felt it. In the slowly flying battleship was a creature of about the upper level in the starry sky. As for whether there was a more powerful existence, they didn't know, but even if there was a more powerful existence, they didn't believe it. They would attack me for no reason, but they didn't say anything. Trash? Ha, my name is quite popular. Guys, don't you think I'm useless? Well, let's have a fight. If you can beat me, then I will give you some good things. You can rest assured if my Geo family says it. When the sound continued to be heard, the expressions of several starry sky level creatures changed drastically. It turns out to be Mr. Jiurong. We just made a mistake. To be honest, what we heard was all hearsay, and we don't think Mr. Jiurong is really a waste. Please don't be angry. Yes, with our strength, how can we fight against the descendants of evolved beasts like you? We will definitely lose. Please take back your life. Several great geniuses quickly became respectful. You know, they were just saying that Jiurong has the energy clone of his father. If he fights with him, let alone there must be bodyguards in the battleship, just talking about Jiurong's protective energy, 1,000 of them are not enough. Crushed with one finger. This is the horror of the strong second generation, with a very profound background. Don't be afraid. I have said it before. I just want to fight you. If you refuse, I will be angry. You may not know that although I am only a weak person in the starry sky, my energy is like this in this genius battlefield. It's not too small. You star levels are in the central area. As long as I say a word, it's impossible to survive, even in the genius battlefield. Do you want to fight me, or do you want me to kill you? Get out of the genius battlefield and make your own decision. Don't worry, even if you fight me, I promised you that I won't hurt Nobu's life. As Jiurong spoke, he flew out of the battleship. His body is still so small, and you can tell at a glance that he is not walking in the wind, and his small appearance gives people a very weak feeling. This. Several star-level geniuses looked at each other at Jiuyuan. As Jiurong said, they all know how terrifying a descendant of an evolved beast is in this genius battlefield. The descendants of other strong men, even the descendants of ordinary star-level strong men, have more or less certain privileges in this genius battlefield, but they are far behind compared to the Jiurong in front of them. If he is delicious, the few star-level geniuses on his side might be driven out of the genius battlefield very easily. This is privilege. We will fight, but we don't want to see blood, so please show mercy to Mr. Jiurong. Don't worry, I won't use too much force. I just want to prove that I'm not some waste. Jiurong's calm voice reached the ears of these star-level geniuses, making them feel a little relieved. Then Sir Jiurong, I will go first. Please show mercy. An upper-level creature in the starry sky, the one who was talking about Jiurong just now, walked out on his own in desperation. Among the several creatures among them, although they are all highly talented, the weakest one is himself, the starry sky high-level being. The others are all starry sky high-level beings. He is the only opponent who happens to have the same level as Jiurong's starry sky high-level being. It's impossible to let stronger people come out to fight. So he had no choice but to bite the bullet and fight. You are very good, then let's start the war. Jiurong's expression looked like that of an earthling, incomparably cold and handsome. Lord Jiurong, I won't hold anything back, but I'll stop at that point. As a strong person in the starry sky, that high-level creature naturally knows what is the greatest harm to a strong person. If Jiarong finds out that he has left his hand, he may be even more unlucky, so after saying this at this time, and get ready for real hands-on combat. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1633. Having said that, several starry sky-level creatures have never thought about using their own strength to beat Jiarong without any backhand. If they find it easy to win, they will somehow let Jiarong win. Lose beautifully. After all, this is Jia Yan's son. Boom. Jiarong's strength has reached the lower level of starry sky, but he has only just been promoted. So on the surface, this earthling-like creature of the lower level of the starry sky is just a higher level of the starry sky. But when the high-level genius in the starry sky came into contact with Jiarong, a creature dozens of times smaller than him, he discovered that Jiarong's strength actually surpassed him. After he struck, he was shocked by the power of Jiarong's brain waves and flew backwards completely. How could it be? Your strength has actually reached the lower level of the starry sky. Although you have just reached it, your brainwave power and aggression actually have such a terrifying effect. That high-level creature in the stars is a creature that feels very similar to insects on Earth. After one blow, he was knocked back dozens of meters by Jiarong's brainwave power, and then looked at Jiarong in shock, completely in disbelief. What's going on? He has such a small body, but he actually has a starry sky backstage? This kind of race is rare, and it has a completely different appearance from his so-called father Jia Yan. At the edge of the battlefield, several other geniuses from the lower ranks of the starry sky looked at the human-like creatures in the confrontation one by one, as if they could not understand what kind of creature Jiarong was at this time. Most of the creatures in the universe are judged by size and strength. Although there are not all weak and strong creatures, there are very few of those creatures. And as we all know, Jia Yan, as an evolved beast, looks like a giant mosquito. And the greater the strength, the larger the body, which is the same evolutionary result as most of the creatures in the universe. So as his son, Jiarong will be an exception? Not even talking about genetics, the descendants of this evolved beast are too weird. Of course, these geniuses don't know about the somewhat complicated past of the Jia Yan family. In short, the Jiarong they see now has the appearance of an earthling who has not grown in size at all, but has a lot of strength. Humph, you call me a loser, but you can barely block a blow from a loser. Jiarong was originally a little unsure about the geniuses at the lower level of the starry sky, because no one in Tingtian Pavilion dared to be his opponent, so in the genius battlefield for such a period of time, he did not compete with others at all. Hands-on experience. Now he was suddenly fighting an interstellar genius who was about the same strength as him, and judging from their conversation just now, this genius was still a genius who had reached a high level of talent. It was normal for him to feel uncertain. Fortunately, the facts show that he is a top genius, which is basically reliable. Very well, Your Excellency Jiarong, since your strength is a bit more terrifying than the rumors say, then I won't hold back. The insect-like creature suddenly became solemn in its expression. Then, regardless of the other friend's attempts to stop it, it struck Jiarong with its most terrifying strength. Geniuses have the self-esteem of geniuses. It is one thing for them to be afraid of Jia Yan, but Jiarong is really powerful, and they can no longer say anything about not going all out. This guy still has some self-esteem as a genius, so I'll use my strength. Jiarong watched this genius coming towards him from a distance, his strength solidified, and he suddenly used a large part of his strength. It is true that his talent is strong, and he has a certain level of cross-level combat ability like Jia Yan, but what is far different between him and Jia Yan is that Jia Yan has improved his strength through life and death battles all the way, but he is just the child who has been protected since he was a child has now confirmed that he has the strength to fight beyond the level, but without being tempered by battle, he also knows that his true fighting power cannot be exerted. Die. The high-level genius in the starry sky exerted all his strength with all his strength. Block. Jiarong also used most of his strength to block the blow. Huh? There are unique changes in this brainwave power. If I weren't stronger than him in brainwave power, I would have lost just now. When Jiarong actually fought, he found that there was indeed a certain gap in experience between his own strength and the experienced genius in front of him. This guy's strength has been honed in actual combat, so his subtleties in combat definitely surpass Jiarong. Fortunately, Jiarong quickly mastered how to deal with the enemy as soon as he started to feel unwell. After all, in terms of brainwave power, his strength is still higher than that of his opponent, and with a certain amount of Jia Yan's genes, his breakthroughs and learning in battle are not something that ordinary geniuses can imagine. Bang! Puff! After a few blows, the star-level genius was knocked away by Jiarong, with blood spurting out of his mouth. Very good. Now that he is defeated, you guys should come up one by one. Jiarong saw that he finally defeated a genius one level below himself, so he said to several other geniuses. Lord Jiarong, are you sure you want to fight us? We are lower-level creatures of the starry sky, and one of us is even at the top level of the starry sky. Although your strength has reached the lower level of the starry sky, you have only just reached the lower level of the starry sky. And judging by your strength, if you fight like this with him, you will definitely have no chance of fighting us. A genius stood up and spoke very carefully to Jiarong. In fact, they all saw the battle just now, and at the same time, they also had a certain understanding of Jiarong's strength. That is, Jiarong is indeed talented, and there may be a certain gap between him and his father who is said to be miraculous. But he is still a pretty good genius. But that's all. Although Jiarong has been making progress in fighting, they never think that his little progress in fighting can be compared with them. They claim to be much more powerful than the guy who was defeated by Jiarong just now. Haha, if there is no chance of fighting with you, you will know after we fight. When Jiarong said these words, he responded with a hint of coldness in his expression. In fact, through the battle just now, he suddenly understood how to use the genes he had inherited from that person. Fight, what I need is to fight, or is that the reason why that person asked me to go back and fight with the Venerable? Jiarong suddenly thought that Jia Yan would not just let him go back to fight with the people of the Empire. In other words, Jia Yan should be able to easily find a more suitable being to participate in the Lord-level battle, so why let him going? It is probably because of knowing his genes that he needs to constantly fight and break through himself to quickly improve his strength. For a moment, Jiarong fell silent again. Forget it, let's improve my strength first. If I want to impress him, I have to have stronger strength. Even if I can't compare with him in this life, I still have to act like myself and let him notice that I have worked hard. What Jiarong has always wanted is very simple, that is, to be recognized by his father, and then to gain some confidence from his mother, Satsuma. Boom boom boom. Waves of fluctuations came in the starry sky. Not long after, a piece of news spread in the central area of the genius battlefield. That is, Jiarong, the son of Jia Yan, who has been in this genius battlefield for a while, but has never been as troublesome in the central area as his father, has actually started his own journey of challenge. But what is different from Jia Yan back then is that his challenge is to come directly to the door, regardless of whether you are a super powerful force, he will come to the door anyway. Some of his battles were won and others lost. Jiarong did not copy his father's myth, and the speed of progress was not that huge. But one thing everyone understands through his journey of challenge. This Jiarong is actually a top genius. Sure enough, a tiger father has no dog son, and he is like a father. Although he is not the most powerful among the top talents, he definitely cannot be underestimated. No, why did the injury he suffered in the last battle heal so quickly? And why has his strength improved so much in a short period of time? The geniuses in the battlefield suddenly discovered that Jiarong, whom they regarded as a waste, was not what they imagined. Although it is impossible to reach the terrifying promotion speed and strength of his father Jia Yan, he still looks a little like Jia Yan and cannot improve in every battle. So what about 10? With his body inheriting a certain amount of Jia Yan's genes, after 10 battles of the same intensity, he would have almost achieved the same effect as Jia Yan's cross-level challenge. And in this genius battlefield, unlike Jia Yan back then, he had almost no fear or worries. Even powerful forces are dissatisfied with it, but they don't dare to act rashly regarding Jiarong as the son of Jia Yan. In addition, some people already know that in Jiarong, there is his father Jia Yan with a few brainwave powers protecting him. No one else would dare to take a chance on him. So Jiarong challenged him all the way. When he heard about powerful geniuses with similar strength, he would come to him. Even some top-level talents did this. Through his actions in the genius battlefield, Jiarong also went through the process of understanding how deeply rooted his father, Jia Yan, was in the genius battlefield. This top force has more than 20 planets like the Earth alone, among which there are hundreds of powerful ones, and there are many semi-star geniuses. But when these top forces knew that I was coming, they all had no choice but to come out to greet me. If it were normal times, for me, an ordinary low-level creature in the starry sky, even if I am a top-level genius, they would probably not, no matter how you take a look. After all, the actual strength is too weak. But now, even their leader has to come out to greet me. Jiarong has reached an extremely powerful top force, and the leader of this force is also a top-level semi-star level creature. He is about to reach the star-level creature, but he comes to Jiarong with great respect. He was doing the greeting. This shows that the subordinates who came with Jiarong, the 2.5-star level subordinates who followed Jiarong all the way to the star field around the Orion arm, all straightened their backs. In this genius battlefield, they were half-star level experts who were not even qualified to enter. Even a random venerable level genius could defeat them. But now, the terrifying geniuses, who seemed to them to be extremely terrifying, were all faced with the young master who, despite his lack of strength, had status. No matter what kind of genius you were or what your status was, you had to stand up and greet them with utmost respect. That's the scary thing about identity and having someone behind it. They all felt that they were with the right person. Although it seemed that their young master had some differences with the rumored extremely scary master, father and son were father and son after all, and they would not think that the terrifying man was the master will no longer protect his son in the future, and previous events have proven this. Well, Your Excellency Jiarong, are you here to challenge Da Bing, the top genius in my force? Okay, since Your Excellency Jiarong has such strong self-confidence, and let's have a fight. The respectful half-star creature who greeted Jiarong had already known Jiarong's purpose. Although he was not optimistic that Jiarong had challenged a high-level starry sky creature before, and he was even injured. He wanted to win against a top genius, but since everyone said it, he just did it. Anyway, what Jiarong did before didn't hurt anyone else. Guidance or communication is what they have to do between geniuses. Not long after, among the top forces, a powerful genius from deep within the forces appeared. This is a creature that looks like a big white dragon. His strength has reached the lower level of the starry sky, and his strength is extremely terrifying. After all, as a top genius, the gap in strength between him and high-level geniuses is huge. Your Excellency Jiarong, right? I don't know what gave you the courage to dare to challenge me. Previously you challenged a high-level Sean Kong back level and won very hard. As a top genius, it is impossible for you to defeat me of. Oh, then I'm going to try to see if it's true. Jiarong was not angry at the other party's words. The more he fights, the stronger his concentration becomes. To put it bluntly, he did look a bit like a child before. Even though he is no longer young, he looks like an ordinary teenager and has a child's personality. But during the battle, the more he learned about Jia Yan's past and the battle, the calmer he became. If we just talk about temperament, he has been slowly approaching Jia Yan unconsciously. It's like a weaker version of Jia Yan. Boom. Not long after, a war between top geniuses broke out in this starry sky.